This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, it's a little weird because I've been here since like almost before noon today. And I'm working a little harder than I'm used to, I know.
Like a regular person.
Wow,
That's odd.
I'm getting a little tired here. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the next 3 hours. I'm going to try. I actually had a podcast to record this morning with my friend Vance Crow. When that is available, we will blast that out. Vance is very interesting. You know, he does those legacy interviews. He sits down maybe with your parents, and then they can leave a video history of their lives. It's really cool. But we went down some rabbit holes today, like on AI and the differences between boomers and Gen Z and, you know, socioeconomic issues that are already kind of tearing into the country with an inability for young people to buy homes and other things. So we really had a great conversation, but I've been going since this morning, and it was funny because
How about that, Fred, since this morning, like the rest of us.
What I mean by that is I've been revved up since this morning.
Oh,
okay,
that's
sometimes
fair.
it takes me a little time to get, and then Fred knows this because I'll call him and I'll be all lit up about something, and I'll usually drop a bunch of F-bombs or something like that. And
Good
he's,
morning,
you know,
Fred.
very entertained by that. He's used to it by now. He's worked with me for 20 years, so he knows that. But so I walked into Vance's office. He's over at Brentwood Plaza, and we were set for recording at 10 a.m. And I said, well, you got me in a really fired up mood because I just had this customer service experience that is just killing me right now. So I just wanted to share this as we get started, my anger, because my anger started this morning. So I have an irrigation company, all right? I told you a little bit about this, Sue.
Yes.
Okay, so I have sprinklers, in-ground sprinklers, and they came with the house, right? And thank goodness, because the neighbors I have who don't have that, the grass gets all, you know, dead and doesn't look very good. Even if they use sprinklers.
That's like us, Fred.
Like mine.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wading into elitism territory just by saying I have an irrigation system?
Way. You're
Really?
already waist deep. Have
Just
you
because of that?
had that on any other house?
No.
Okay.
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 Is that so? That puts me into a separate class because I have
yes.
irrigation. It came with the
Yes.
house. It's not. Was it my fault?
It's
Well,
just a person of
all right,
means.
Thank you, Fred. It's just a person of means.
So every year, if you have an irrigation system, you have to do. Well, first of all, they have to come and they have to turn it off in the fall, right, to make sure that the lines don't freeze and all
well,
that.
that makes sense.
Right, and then they have to come back and they have to test and they turn on. You also have to have a backflow test. Now, I don't even know what that means outside of the fact that they have to do something and they have to prove to St. Louis County that I've had a backflow test, right? I have no idea what that means.
I assume that's literal,
Yeah.
right? Do they just anyway? Yes.
Use your imagination on that.
Yes.
Anyway, so 6 weeks ago, and I'm not going to mention the irrigation company, but they come out, same people I've used for years, right, at this house, smaller business, okay?
Okay.
And the two guys come out to test the system, and they open up the valves, and I have no water pressure in the front of the house. I have plenty of water pressure in the back of the house, but none in the front. So they're trying to figure it out. They can't figure it out. They're like, oh, you know, the dude who kind of runs the company, again, I'm not going to use names here. We'll call him Bob. Bob's going to have to be the guy that, you know, diagnoses this. He's got experience. They couldn't figure it out. And they're like, well, it could be what happens in situations like this is there's a root that might pinch the line. There's a kink in the line. I'm like, oh, God, what am I getting into here? So I get on the horn and, well, first, let me just say this. So he's like, well, you know, the kids are there, these kids who are, you know, working for him. Bob's got to come out and look at this. Bob or Bill. Those are the two guys. I'm making up names. So they, I don't get a call back or anything. And then I call the office and I'm like, hey, Bob was supposed to call me to set up an appointment, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is, again, 6 weeks ago. So they set an appointment up for Monday of this week. That was the earliest I could get, right? And I'm being patient with this because I feel like I have to, because there's not a lot of, maybe there's competition out there, but it's one of those things where even if I went to a different company right now, it probably would take me longer to get the service, right? All right, so Monday, Becky's at home. They're supposed to come between 2:30 and 3:30. No one shows up. I get a message. I didn't realize a message had come in that said that they couldn't come because it was raining, right? Okay, so if you had an appointment with a company, this is where I'm going to get to the question here. Company was supposed to come and see you on Monday, visit, whether it's HVAC or anything like that, right? They couldn't do it. They canceled. What would the next step in that process be?
Well, alert them.
No. Like, who would alert who?
Reschedule.
What's that word there?
Oh, boy.
R? Does it start with an R?
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Reschedule.
Reschedule. Do you think that the person who runs the business would perhaps reach out to the client and say, I'm sorry, we missed the appointment on Saturday. When can we reschedule? Or on Monday, rather. So here we are a couple days later. I call this morning. I'm like, hey, I said, and this is where I'm like, I'm at the level here where customer service is not satisfactory to me. And I said, they were supposed to come out Monday. Okay, let me see. The first day I have is June 23rd. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's when I lost it. I'm like, June 23rd? I said, Bob should not be out here on June 23rd. Bob should be here freaking today, like today or tomorrow, because he was supposed to be here on Monday. So I said, and I'm at this point, I'm yelling, right? I'm like, I'll tell you what, here's what you're going to do. You call Bob, and then you call me back, and you tell me how we're going to resolve this. So I get a call back about 10 minutes later. Well, here's what we can do. We can keep you on the schedule for the 23rd, and if there's any cancellations, then we can move you up. I said, that's the best you're going to do for me right now. You're basically telling me, and then she goes, this is what she says. And Bob said that if you can find someone to do it quicker, then go ahead and do that. Well, what is that? That's the guy basically saying, we don't want you as a customer anymore, isn't it?
It just means they're all busy this time of year.
Well, I don't care how busy they are. They still have a level of customer service that they're supposed to provide, and it was terrible. But in situations like this, and this is one of the reasons I want to talk about it, is you're kind of pigeonholed. I think a lot of people are, because I can't get someone to come in there any sooner probably
I know,
than
that's
that.
what, yeah.
So and he knows that,
That's
right?
why
So I'm
he
kind of
said it.
beholden. But to
Yeah.
run a business that way is just baffling to me. It really is. So, I think we all experience this, and you certainly see it in retail outlets where you have terrible customer service, but it's more frustrating when you don't have competition and you can't really tap into that. And by the way, here's another thing what they said, and you guys might remember this. A year ago, this is good, maybe mention this for other people out there who've had this experience. The first thing that Bob, not his real name, asked me is, did you have fiber cable that was installed? And I said, yeah, I did. And he said, well, that could be it right there. But I said, wait a second, that was installed last June, and it worked fine for the rest of the summer. But then he tells me, okay, we got to dig around, we got to find this if it's not a route.
Oh.
And then at one point he says, and that kind of starts at $4,000. I'm like, what? I said, I think I can go to Menards and get a sprinkler like the common folk. I guess I have to call you guys the common folk now, right? Because I'm an elitist,
Fred.
and just run it that way. But anyway, these are hashtag Mark Reardon problems. I know that. But it's just the customer service thing that just nags on me. And at one point, the one's like, I'm not going to let you abuse me. I'm like, well, do your freaking job. Do your job. I didn't use profanity, but I'm like, this is utterly ridiculous how I'm being treated as a paying customer, that you can't reach out to me. And then she goes, Bob says you never answer your phone. I'll never answer my phone. I can show you my phone. There's no missed calls from you guys, right? So that's a bunch of crap. Oh, I wish I could say the company, but I can't. I wish I could say the company. If anyone else out there can help me, please let me know. We got a lot of things to get to today. Ethan looked at the sheet, and he told Fred, who is a Hall of Famer, of course.
Yes.
He said, Fred, this is amazing today.
How about old Fred Bottenheimer
You
over there,
go,
ladies and
Fred.
gentlemen?
We have a state senator in Nick Schroer coming up here. We're going to talk a little bit about some budgetary concerns about some numbers. Scott Fitzpatrick, the auditor, expressing concerns about a looming budget disaster. So we'll talk to him about that. We have Congressman Bob Onder. He was at the Southern Poverty Law Center hearing yesterday. I played some audio from that, and that was pretty compelling. There's also some things to talk about him relating to some other bills, and then also the primary results. Of course, Graham Plattner is moving on. He won the race in Maine. That was not unexpected. Wow. He was supposed to. By the way, did you see what happened? They had a governor's race in South Carolina, and Nancy Mace, who, she was a rising star in the Republican Party. She's a very attractive woman, well-spoken, fireball, but then she went all down the Epstein files route and lost favor with Trump. She got 12.5% of the vote. This was someone who was,
wow,
at a trajectory that was a lot higher than getting 12% of the vote running for governor of.
I think she came in fifth.
Yeah, she did. Like
Wow.
way fifth. It was crazy. This is the night, and I've been to this, and I think it's really cool. This is the night of the congressional baseball game in D.C., and Eric Schmitt, our senator is really one of the stars of the team. It's a great event. It's done for charity at Nationals Ballpark. They usually get, about 25,000 people. All the staffers from the Hill come over. They've been practicing for months. You might remember the baseball shooting that took place, and Steve Scalise was shot. Rodney Davis, former congressman from Illinois, was taking batting practice, about to jump in the box that day when that shooting took place. Scalise is still on the roster. Rodney used to be the catcher before he was out of Congress. Our other friend, John Shimkus, was a pitcher, and the Republicans are kind of in a really good spot right now because they have a good pitcher. The Democrats for years had a guy that had, I think, played collegiate baseball, and they just got smoked, but they're pretty good right now, and Eric's really put a lot of work in. I mean, if you've followed him on social media, he does a lot of stuff that he's posting from the cage work he's doing. He's in great physical shape right now, so it'll be fun to talk to him at 4 o'clock. Alex Rich will be here. We visit with him on a Thursday afternoon.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Thank you, Fred. Duane Patterson from Hot Air. And then we have the Attorney General of Missouri, Catherine Hanaway, on this afternoon as well. So there's a bunch of things that I want to touch on that I haven't got to. There's more Scott Pelley stuff. There's a bunch of fallout from, obviously from Grant Plattner and what happened. There's still some questions about California. I guess maybe the thing that was made official between when we started the show yesterday and today is that Steve Hilton is going to be in the runoff against, and I spent way too much of my time in the office earlier trying to figure out how to pronounce Javier Becerra's name, because I've been saying it Xavier Becerra because it's spelled with an X.
Oh.
And then a lot of people say Javier. So I've heard it both ways. Well, we looked it up, and Wikipedia told us that the pronunciation is Javier Becerra. But he was not exactly very popular in the Biden administration. Look, I made a wager with two of our roundtable participants, Greg Keller and Jeff Smith, last week. It was likely ill-fated because that's what I do. But Jeff gave me 3-1 odds on Hilton becoming the governor. So in other words, I put 100 up, and I get 300 if Hilton wins, and then I have to pay him 100 if I lose. I'm expecting to lose, and I have the same bet, at least even money, with Keller. But I just think that Steve Hilton has tapped into something that potentially could be unique in California because it's common sense stuff. It's not ideological. The problem is Trump, and the problem is inflation and gas prices and all that, because he'll probably, as a Republican, get tagged with a lot of that stuff. Right? They're going to try to align him with Trump as much as they can. But I think that it's a different climate in California, and I would at least give him a shot. I thought the numbers from the primary were rather interesting and a little higher than I think people anticipate. All right, we're off and rolling here. Nick Schroer is coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident eastbound 70 at 141, and it looks like it's the center lanes that are blocked. Traffic is jammed back across the Blanchette Bridge. Westbound drivers slowing for a look. We had an earlier incident westbound 70 near 370. That has been cleared, but still some slow-moving traffic in that area. In fact, westbound 370 is slow, headed for 141. Now, other than that, it's the usual volume. So westbound 64, right around Clayton-Skinker is slow, and again at 270 and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And slow-moving traffic on the Illinois side in both directions on 55-64 at 3rd Street. That's caused delays, just road work and lane closures. And then eastbound 64 is pretty slow in the road work, just right there at 255, headed for 157. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Call them for their 26-point tune-up. One price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Always look for the genuine, the original red ribbon. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
My friend John Sullivan from Pet Supplies Plus Sully, he said West Countyan problems from my irrigation system. That's about right? Exactly.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask Chat.
I just take blue-green algae.
You just have to eat kale. Kale, kale, kale.
I read you should put butter in your coffee.
Or you could trust your gut. When it comes to your energy, digestion, and overall health, how do you know what's actually right for you? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to show what's going on inside you right now. Not trends, not guesses, your biology. With your results, Viome gives you clear, personalized, actionable guidance. Which foods help you, which ones don't, and which supplements your body actually can benefit from. All based on the world's largest gut health databases and thousands of clinical research studies. Many people who use Viome report better digestion, more energy, and an improved mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing.
And maybe still eat the kale?
Maybe. Learn more at Viome.com/know. V as in Victor, IOME.com/KNOW. And use coupon code VIOME50 to save $50 off your purchase.
And eat everything blue.
No, thank you.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal, or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If your air conditioning system is just not cooling, you feel it's not cooling, go outside and also make sure the outside unit is running along with the inside unit. Those little black lines that are coming out of your house, see if they have ice on them. If you notice ice, check your filter. Make sure if your filter is dirty, it will make your system ice. Another thing to check is your breaker on the inside. If cleaning your filter and cleaning the outside and you check in your breaker still does not work, call me. You'll need me to come out. Sorry. But good thing is there's a really easy number in Missouri and Illinois. It is area code 314-293-2600. Again, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
One of the other things I'm going to cover is the continued aftermath and fallout of the Carmelo Anthony verdict down in Texas. And it is, I guess I shouldn't be shocked anymore. Jasmine Crockett, our own, star from MICDS down there representing Houston, complaining about this guy going to prison for stabbing a white kid in the heart. I said this yesterday. Look, I think the opening statements, even by the prosecution, that case has nothing to do with race. There's no racial component whatsoever.
Yes.
It was a kid that did something, and he threatened the white kid, and then he pulled out a knife and stabbed the kid in the heart. I mean, this shouldn't have honestly even gone to trial. He probably would have been better off had he just pleaded, and I don't even think he would have gotten 35 years had he done that. But now he gets 35 years, and they're saying he's going to appeal. On what basis? There's no, this is such an easy cut and dried case. The defense hardly put up anything. They said it was self-defense, but they didn't put any witnesses. But now you have another situation where there are people in this country who haven't followed the particulars of this case, and they think that this was some sort of white supremacy thing. If a white kid did the same thing to a white kid, or if a white kid did the same thing to a black kid, or if a black kid did the same thing to a black kid, the results would be exactly the same. Okay, it's a murder charge. He murdered him. Why he did it, I don't know. But, there was no way this jury could have gone in another direction. They gave him the manslaughter possibility, but they said, no, this is murder. They wanted to punish him. So they are. State Senator Nick Schroer is back with us this afternoon. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hey, I am just glad I'm not down on those hot-ass streets in Houston.
Yeah, no kidding about that. Look, we got a story that cleared in our local paper not too long ago that states that Scott Fitzpatrick, the auditor, is saying it's imperative that Governor Mike Kehoe use his veto pen this month to slash millions of dollars in funding to address a fiscal cliff facing the state. So the quote from Scott Fitzpatrick is, the numbers are right there in black and white, and unfortunately lots of red, and they show a trend of deficit spending that cannot be sustained and continue to jeopardize our state's financial health. So as a member of the legislature, you are constitutionally mandated to balance the budget. So what are we looking at here with possible cuts? And some of this obviously was discussed during the session and anticipated as well.
Yeah, I think this is we've turned the car around, if that makes sense, because the trajectory of where we were going over the past 10 years, we've seen the budget grow over 104%, which is just unsustainable. I agree with the auditor. And even when the auditor was the budget chairman, when I was in the House with him, we would work and we would try to cut. And you had budget chairs in the Senate that, even though they were Republican, they spent like Democrats. And we finally got a new appropriations chair in the Senate this year. And for the first time in my tenure, we actually cut over $4 billion. Now, that's still not enough. We're going in the right direction, but I do hope that Governor Kehoe looks at a lot of this spending to see what we can trim. Because, look, we got a couple things on the ballot coming up. We've got the tax cuts. We've got IP reform, which is one of the reasons we're in this hot mess that we're in right now, to use a Jasmine Crockett reference. It's a hot mess that we're in because the initiative petition program has allowed these out-of-state millionaires to handcuff us with things like the expansion of Obamacare, which Scott Fitzpatrick mentioned in his report with working or able-bodied adults that are still living in mom's basement that we have to cover with Obamacare. So, no, I'm very hopeful that the governor and his team are going to look over this and deliver a budget that is one of the lowest budgets that we've seen in the last several years. But I'm encouraging the body to stand with Scott Fitzpatrick, encourage the governor, encourage the House and the Senate to cut even more than we did this year. Going into next session, let's cut $5 billion. Let's cut $10 billion because guess what? We're going to have to coincide these income tax cuts if that does pass, and I hope it does. I hope we are on a path to zero. But if we get there, it's going to have to come hand in hand with a lot of spending cuts.
Is there an obvious target area for those spending cuts, or would those be spread around, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's going to have to be spread around. You know, with the way that the public schools are funded right now, there is a working group, there is a task force to try to figure out, is there a different way to do it? Because quite frankly, when you keep throwing more and more and more money at the public school education system and the results still suck, we've got to start thinking outside of the box. But things like that, things like the Medicaid expansion, the Obamacare expansion that was put in to the Constitution just a couple of years ago, and what the Supreme Court has said we can and can't do with that, we are kind of handcuffed, and that's why they're dipping into the general revenue to pay the state portion of the Medicaid expansion. Now, a lot of these handouts that we've seen with the last budget chair with Lincoln Huff, who's a Republican, he kept working with the Democrats and sending millions upon millions of dollars for pet projects in their districts. Thankfully, Governor Kehoe last year line item vetoed a ton of that, but there's still a little bit of that in the budget that was passed this year. And I'm hopeful that the governor is going to line item veto a lot of that. But we're going to have to start looking at a lot of these programs and services and, you know, put the test that I always apply. Is this something that the government is obligated to do by way of the Constitution, or should the private sector be picking up the slack here?
State Senator Nick Schroer is here. Let me ask you about the income tax cut. You know that I'm a proponent of it, and I think it's big and it's bold and it's something that would propel the state forward. And there's a lot of misinformation out there on the part of the opponents of this. Now, I don't, Nick, and I'm wrong about this, so maybe this is going to help it. But I spoke with the governor last week. I don't think this thing's going to pass, and I think it's going to unfortunately fail quite miserably. But how does this not feed into the opponents by giving them a narrative that says, look, we already have these revenue issues and you want to cut the income tax? And I get it. You know, I understand the issue that it's a phase out and everything and there's offsets, but I think it also gives opponents of the measure, you know, more of a narrative here.
Yeah, you know, they're going to use it. I guarantee you that they're going to use it to their favor. But look, we've got something based upon this, this amendment that we're going to vote on in August is based upon the same thing that we have statutorily right now. So even though you've had all of this crazy spending over the past several years, which I have voted against time and time again, we've continued to see growth in our state, which is triggered from 6% income tax slowly down to the 4.7 that we're at now. Now, there's a floor statutorily that we're going to hit at 4.5 when and if we get there. And I think that's got to be the backup plan here. You know, I hope we throw the kitchen sink at this thing, that we can actually get this put into the Constitution, because if we do this statutorily, if we come back and do it statutorily, like we've done with the capital gains tax, like we've done with all the different tax cuts for senior citizens, a different administration could change that in a heartbeat. We've seen so many different states that swing back to a Democrat leadership, and they outdo everything that the Republicans have done just within a couple weeks. So that's one of the more important things that the supporters of this amendment of getting rid of the income tax have to stress, is that, look, we're this path to zero, letting us compete with states like Florida and Tennessee and Texas and all these other states around us that are growing rapidly and attracting business and returning that money back to the working class in those states. They need to put that in the Constitution in the state of Missouri, so we don't have a Governor Nixon type or a Gavin Newsom type that's going to come in one day, and I know it's probably far from today when the Democrats take over, as crazy as they are prioritizing the woke gender madness over the working class. But that day could come.
Are you heading off to Maine to campaign for Graham Plattner?
I'm not a fan of Nazis. My grandpa fought against them in World War II, and it's just strange that the Democrats, who believe all women just a couple of years ago, are now saying, not those women, and who cares about the Nazis? People can change.
I'm told by people much smarter than I that Susan Collins will still win that seat. It's going to be a fight. They're going to spend some money. But, man, we got to hope that even Trump, said, look, we're not on the same page, Susan Collins, all the time, but she's not crazy. And I think that kind of says a lot right there. Nick Schroer, great to have you on. I appreciate it. You have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a delay. There was an accident eastbound 70 at 141. And it has been blocking the center lanes. Traffic, of course, is stacking up behind it, but that is going against rush hour, so it could be a lot worse. And it looks like they've moved it mainly off to the right-hand side now, so the right lanes are blocked. But 370 is slow in that area, westbound, headed for 141. And westbound 70, a little slow at the site, and then just some moderate volume here and there out through 70. Now, westbound 40 is slow. It's Hampton out through McCausland, eastbound slowing at Big Bend, and then westbound some volume again, but in pockets, 94 out through the 70 split. And we've got plenty of volume. There's road work, it's 5564 at 3rd Street, and that's causing delays on the Illinois side. And, of course, eastbound 64 is slow approaching 157. That due to road work as well. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis. It's full of the latest, most custom designs. It's in Chesterfield Valley. There you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We had another great round of Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet last night. We do it every Tuesday around 5:30. He dazzles us with his knowledge of AI and beyond. Now, his company here in St. Louis can help you if you're a business owner. They've been helping St. Louis businesses navigate technology for over 25 years. They focus on security, strategy, and keeping companies productive. I had an awesome visit to the office. I'd never been to the office, and I finally went last week. I saw the team and how they do things and how they're alerted when a company, maybe like yours, has an issue with IT. They're very proud of their under 90-second response time. And they're the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. No client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom because their cybersecurity works. So if you go to throttlenet.com/971 as a business owner, that's going to give you a free baseline IT security audit. And you cannot really figure out where to go unless you know where the risks are, the blind spots. They'll help you prioritize the next steps, make smarter technology decisions. That will make you hopefully more profitable because you can lose money, you can lose customer trust by pressing the wrong button. ThrottleNet can prevent that from happening. ThrottleNet.com or put a /971 on there.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From O'Fallon, Missouri to O'Fallon, Illinois. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I spent a little bit of time on this yesterday, and it was a great hearing, and I had an audio, abundance of audio yesterday, and I didn't get to a lot of it. But Brian Fair is the guy who is the interim president for the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they had a hearing yesterday before the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Bob Onder is on that committee. Here's his question to Mr. Fair.
Mr. Fair, the SPLC labeled Charlie Kirk and his organization dangerous extremists in its Hate Watch newsletter, and Charlie Kirk was assassinated the very next day. Do you regret signing off on that newsletter?
Congressman Onder, what I regret is the political violence in this country on any side of the aisle.
Do you regret naming Turning Point USA a hate group several months earlier?
What I regret, again, is the political violence in this country. And
are you willing to take any responsibility for the assassination of Charlie Kirk? I'll take that as a no.
Look, this was quite shocking, some of the lack of questions. Congressman Onder is with us this afternoon. I mean, that was just one small example, Bob, as you know, of that guy unable or unwilling to answer a lot of questions that were very, very easy.
Well, that's right, Mark. It's great to be back. We had a previous hearing on the topic of SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, which was once a useful civil rights organization helping poor blacks with legal representation of the Old South, but they have truly, truly lost their way. The last hearing, the Democrats put forward a witness who wasn't from SPLC, and of course they essentially pleaded the fifth on everything, or pleaded ignorance on everything. Here we actually had the CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and as much as Mr. Fair claims to decry political violence, the SPLC has been in the business of inciting political violence with its hate map. Of course, long before the Charlie Kirk assassination, they inspired an armed attack on the Family Research Council, in which one of the security guards was seriously injured. Really, the Southern Poverty Law Center, we've known for a long time, is a defamation machine, and now we know they've been indicted by the Justice Department for bank and wire fraud. Look, it's time to end the SPLC's scam once and for all.
I think they even had Missouri on, this hate list or avoid Missouri list because of some of the things that happened in the aftermath of Mike Brown or some of this other nonsense. But really what has been exposed, and I know that he was grilled on this yesterday, is the money that they spent from donors. And he's trying to defend this as something that organizations do when they pay, informants to work inside and infiltrate organizations. And clearly the FBI does that at times. But this is a group that's supposed to be fighting hate, and they're actually funding people. And whether they were doing some sort of investigative work or not, they weren't being honest with the people around them and with the donors, and they still want to defend this, which is just kind of incredible, Bob. And you heard that all throughout that hearing yesterday with Mr. Fair unable to answer real easy questions, yes or no questions that everyone posed to him, and he deflected and he deflected.
Well, he absolutely did. Yes, the Southern Poverty Law Center is manufacturing the very hate that they claim to be fighting, but more importantly, fundraising over. They spent $4.1 million funding various actual hate and neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups, but they weren't just paying informants. $4.1 million would pay a lot of informants they were actually paying these extremists to get people, for instance, to the Charlottesville rally. They were paying neo-Nazi groups. One informant, so-called, wanted out and said, "No, I don't want to do this anymore," and they paid them more money to stay in the group and continue to cause trouble. So the indictment clearly lays out how the very large sums of money that they were paying for these insiders in these groups, and they weren't just gathering information and passing it on to the FBI. They were encouraging violence, including at Charlottesville, where one person was killed. They're and by the way, they were definitely money laundering. They were moving. They had shell companies that had names like Marine and Lawn Service and so on to hide the purpose of the money that they were moving around, to these extremists that they claim to be fighting.
Is there a next step in all of this or not at this point?
Yes, I think the next big step, I think, first of all, exposing the SPLC, because, the SPLC has been used by some investment companies, including Fidelity, by many companies in directing charitable giving. And,
that's
really
outrageous.
is kind of a it's kind of a gold standard. So if you had a donor-directed mutual fund or a fund with Fidelity, for instance, any group on the SPLC's hate list was not eligible for your directed contributions, and so on. Many large corporations followed the SPLC's hate list and blacklisted those companies. So I think many companies are now on to the SPLC. They're no longer following that. But SPLC needs to be exposed, but they were engaging in criminal activity. The next step is really the Justice Department to pursue their prosecution.
On the indictment, right. Congressman Bob Onder is back with us. All right, so the president has signed a $70 billion bill for the funding of immigration enforcement agencies through the end of his term. This was not an easy thing to secure. It passed the Senate last week. I think you guys voted on it yesterday. It now is solidified. So what would you say about that battle and finally getting that across the table to the president's desk?
Well, yeah, Mark, as you know, it's a big victory that we finally got it done. But this just shows how much the Democrats are putting illegal aliens first over the interests of the American people. On April 30th, Congress passed a bill funding the Department of Homeland Security, but not ICE and Border Patrol, because the Democrats, not a single Democrat, would vote to enforce our immigration laws. That was April 30th, about a month and a half ago, after a 76-day shutdown, longest shutdown of a department in American history. And now it took us another month and a half to get this bill passed without a single Democrat vote to fund the brave men and women who enforce our immigration laws.
Not even Fetterman, right, in the Senate voted for it.
I don't believe even Fetterman. Not a single House member yesterday, but I don't think even Fetterman. So it's very clear. The Democrats have been the defund the police party, and now they are the defund immigration enforcement party. This is very dangerous because we have prioritized deporting criminal illegal aliens. The whole sanctuary city issue is about these sanctuary cities, Democrat-run cities and states where a third of the country live, where they will not turn criminal illegal aliens over to ICE and Border Patrol for deportation. This is lawlessness at its worst, and it is just pathetic that the Democrats put illegal aliens over the safety and security of the American people.
It's unreal. I can't believe that they keep doing it. What happened, though, Bob, with the controversial $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund? That got very, got a lot of attention, a lot of pushback from Republicans. Was that included in this or not?
Yeah, that was not, Mark. That was, something the president had floated. At first, the White House seemed to very much want to have that $1.8 billion fund to compensate victims of weaponization of government. Look, I've talked to lawyers who represent some people who were very much victimized, including the St. Louis's own Mark McCloskey, who represents some of these victims. And there are ways in which they can pursue damages for ways that they were harmed. Certainly, the most well-known is a 1983 action by which you sue a government for deprivation of your constitutional rights. So, finally, the White House backed off and said, okay, go ahead and pass the ICE and Border Patrol funding without the weaponization fund. So, no, that was not not included.
Well, good, because
that made it a little easier to move forward.
Right, I was not a fan of that. All right, we have to talk about Iran, though, because obviously the president seems to not really be concerned about the timetable here. I think that the situation here diplomatically, I don't know why we feel that we're close to a deal. Maybe there's a miracle and we're close to a deal. But, there keeps being this promise from the White House and from the president. He said it again today. Gas prices are going to plummet when this thing is over. 2 questions. When is it going to be over? And then I don't think gas prices are going to plummet, Bob. I think we're stuck with these through the summer.
Well, okay. I think, first of all, I don't know when this is going to be over. We had we'll say at best, a fragile ceasefire. Some exchange of weaponry, but relative calm.
Yeah, we may have more this afternoon, though. He's promising this afternoon. It was 4 o'clock yesterday that they hit a couple of targets, so we could have action this afternoon.
And President Trump promised a very big escalation this afternoon. That originally triggered by yesterday's downing of a Black Hawk helicopter.
Right.
So I don't know when this is over. The sooner the better. Obviously, under the right conditions, the Strait of Hormuz has to open. Oil has to get flowing again. But I think the once the world oil market realizes that the strait is back open, we definitely have a backlog, no question. 20% of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz, but I think we'll see, just like even a optimistic remark by President Trump will improve the price of crude and gas prices at the pump for a couple days. I think once the conflict's actually over, we'll see a big fall in oil and gas prices. Maybe not to where we were a year ago, but I think things would indeed improve significantly after the hostilities end.
I have Senator Schmitt coming on to preview the congressional baseball game tonight. Are you going to be attending that game by any chance?
I will. I'll be a little late to it. I have an event right before, but then I will be there, and I predict a big victory by the Republicans.
It's a lot of fun. I was lucky to go one year. I sat with my dear friend Kenny Hulshoff, who you probably know. He was a member of Congress as well. And it's just great. They pack that stadium pretty well. It's for charity. It's really kind of a fun event. It's on TV tonight. Chad Pergram from Fox is a great play-by-play guy. So the senator is going to join us. But, Bob, have a great time tonight. It's always a great event.
Thank you.
Right.
Have a great evening. Now it will be a great game.
Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Wow, crews are still on the scene of this accident. It's eastbound 70 at 141. It started in the center lanes. They moved it off to the right. Oh, it looks like they may have just gotten that cleared. That's great news because we had a jam behind it that is now just beginning to thin out. Now, westbound 370 slow, headed for 141. We've got westbound 70 out of downtown. Really not that bad. A little slow at 270 and at K and at Wentzville. 64, though, is lined up, approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Some moderate volume at 270 and then at 94 in pockets on out. We've got southbound 55 in really good shape, especially in the city. There's a little bit of volume in the construction zone headed for Herculaneum. And southbound 270, moderate volume from Page down through Doherty Ferry. Now, on the Poplar Street Bridge, the problem is we've got traffic in both directions slowing, and it's because of road work 5564 at 3rd Street. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Pump up the volume. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
want to recommend Susan L. Ward if you need a family practice attorney. And it's a tough situation, the end of a marriage, but you want someone who can really fight for you on your side that you're comfortable with. And I think if you get to know Susan, where they've been practicing family law exclusively for more than 2.5 decades at this point, they see how, the laws change from time to time. And those shifts in the law really rip through families. And one of the biggest changes came in 2023 with some different parenting time. And Susan will say the parents and lawyers are still feeling the effects. So now with those changes, you may need a little bit more help post-divorce, if you will. She's got a great blog up on her website at stlfamilylaw.com where they run down some of the changes in the law, give you some advice on how some of the equal parenting time and child support works and how they've changed in Missouri with the law as well. Even pregnancy and the dissolution of marriage, there were some changes that the legislature passed last year. You may want to keep up on that. But if you need her help, she's there for you here in St. Louis. The number 314-783-9400. The website, stlfamilylaw.com.
97.1 FM Talk in action.
It's Mark Cox. Our friends at the USO Missouri are looking for volunteers. From Lambert Airport to Fort Leonard Wood, volunteers help provide comfort and support to those serving our country. Learn more at missouri.uso.org. Is it time to upgrade that backyard so you can enjoy it for the rest of this summer? Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. I'm telling you, they have a mission to be the very best when it comes to customer service and quality craftsmanship. They've been around since 1968. That tells you something. The same families owned this business all those years. Of course, they offer fences and decks, but they also do much more. Sunrooms, screen rooms, patios. They can do retaining walls. You mention it, and they can take care of what's going on in your backyard. Their project consultants will come out. They'll do free in-home estimates, no obligation at all, free project design. They've also got a great digital photo gallery of completed projects so you can look at what other people are doing and maybe get some inspiration. How about that? Reach out to them today. Mention my name. They're going to give you 20% off your next outdoor project. Check them out at chesterfieldfence.com.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie, if there's one thing I know, it's that people are looking for cash right now. And the mortgage being the biggest bill that most people have, is it the right time to refinance or even just restructure their current mortgage?
You know what, Annie? My wife came over to me yesterday and said, you know what, honey? I love you, and your love gives me thrills, but unfortunately, it don't pay my bills. So here's what we're going to do. Do the bagel loan. If you financed your house over the last 3 years, rates are lower today than they've been over that period of time. Call me. We can refinance, save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. Now, many people out there think they have a low rate, but maybe you're paying the PMI or maybe you have an FHA loan. You have to look at the total picture, and that's the mistake people make. They say, hey, I'm in a great position. I can't do better. Wrong. 9 out of 10 people that call us with the same conversation, hey, I'm just calling you just to see. We end up refinancing them and saving them lots of money.
Call Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage, and remember the bagel loan, no closing costs. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
One of those days where we are really, really loaded up. I have Senator Schmitt on deck to talk about the congressional baseball game. There's a story that was released today by the state auditor, Scott Fitzpatrick. We already talked about him relating to the budget. But, Sue, when you hear this, your mind is just going to explode. And if you're in the Francis Howell School District, Godspeed, ladies and gentlemen. So what a state audit has turned up that the Francis Howell School District failed to adequately vet a Kansas educator that was hired as superintendent last year. So when Scott released this report today, they said that there were warning signs before the district hired this guy. His name is Mike Dominguez. No references from his most recent employer.
What?
Are you kidding me? A resignation from his last position. There were typos in his application.
What?
So the auditor said the enormous amount of money paid out to a man who never worked a day for the district certainly raised a lot of questions for taxpayers and numerous red flags from my office. So what happened is they got a deal with him, and they all signed an NDA so they can't talk about it. Last July, he never works. He never takes the job. So this is 10 months after this happened. They gave him a lump sum of $229,166.67 in exchange for his agreement to resign. I want that to happen to me. I want someone to come to me. I will freaking quit right now if you write me a check for $229,000. I promise you, if my bosses are listening. But what happened is that this is where Scott Fitzpatrick, who, by the way, is up for re-election, and he's a guy that just does his job, right? He's nothing fancy. He just does his job, and that's what the state auditor should do. There should be no politics involved in this. This is outrageous behavior by this school district. You have a situation where these kids are already behind, because of COVID, and even beyond COVID, the educational numbers that we see in public schools in particular are not very good. But 4 days before this guy's supposed to start last July, the officials announced that he ain't going to begin work because there are unforeseen circumstances.
And what? And of course, we don't know.
They won't say. So the board approved the resignation, the separation agreement. About a month later, there were unanimous votes. $230,000 payment was in addition to what he got when he was on leave, so he got $250,000. And then in the Post story, they say the agreement gagged Francis Howell officials from explaining the departure. It stated that if asked about any employment dispute involving Dominguez, district employees and board members agreed to respond, Dr. Dominguez resigned from the Francis Howell School District effective on July 31st, 2025. I cannot comment further on a confidential personnel matter. Well, you know what? You should be forced to comment because this is taxpayer dollars. This is outrageous. If you're in the the Francis Howell School District, you should demand either the school board tells you what happened or they should all resign because they can't vet him. But Scott Fitzpatrick's office goes in and finds out that they had a lot of closed-door meetings to talk about this guy. Legal counsel for the district told the auditor's office that the board believed that his performance was discussed at those meetings. He provided the board with responses to concerns and references from the Kansas district. He denied misrepresenting himself, but obviously they had a big problem with him. And I guess the only way they could get him to go away without paying the lawyers, because then he was going to say, wrongful termination, is they cut him a check for $230,000. That is unreal. Now, this is the other thing about this. These school boards and, municipalities and governments, you know what they do? And this is the biggest scam in the world. No offense to my consultant friends out there. They hire consultants and they pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars to find the right candidates for these positions. In this case, they probably didn't send hundreds of thousands, but probably tens of thousands of dollars. And the company that they hire, School Exec Connect, which is out of Chicago, doesn't identify any issues. They do background checks that don't reveal anything, and then all of a sudden they realize right away that something's wrong here.
But there are typos in something that an educator presents.
I didn't see.
What?
Okay, I'm going to have to read the full report from the auditor because I didn't see any more reference to that in the Post-Dispatch article, but that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Typographical errors in his first application. Wow. So, no, look, this is government accountability. This is the same reason that I'm trying to get answers from Valley Park about my road project. This is taxpayer money. They just pissed away $250,000. Think about if you're a teacher in that district. You okay with that? Because guess what? They're paying the next guy probably more money, or the next chick.
Or your students go to school there, and your tax money is going to that? What?
Outrageous.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Oh, and we won't tell you why.
Yeah, no, right. That on top of it makes it even worse. Thank you.
If you are an eastbound 70 driver at this point, we have a little bit of a slowdown by 141. That's due to an earlier accident. It is getting better. Westbound 70 is slow. 370 is slow as you head for 141. Westbound 70, moderate volume at Jennings Station, at K, and at Wentzville. Northbound 170 slows headed for 270. And southbound is lined up. It's mainly Page down through Doherty Ferry. Westbound 64, that's a slow go at Hampton. Now, we have a jam eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge and westbound at 3rd Street. This is all due to road work, 5570-64 at 3rd Street. There's also heavy traffic on eastbound 64 at 255. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I want to share some great words about Banner Construction here in St. Louis. They've been around since 1993. They deal in some amazing products. They'd love to help you really transform your home, and you can kind of get started with a little homework online. If you go to bannerconstruction.com, all kinds of tabs at the top, find out about the company. You can click on the showcase, which shows you some homes in the area that have been transformed. You click on that Hardy Siding tab. It will inform you and educate you. There's even some videos on there where you can see the benefits of James Hardy fiber cement siding. It's a great product, and you can, if you want to do a deep dive into how it's made and why it's so great for your home, you can do that. But I'm going to simplify it for you, because if you invite Banner to your home for a free in-home design consultation, they'll draw it up for you. They'll give you a plan. They'll work with your budget. They're going to give you great customer service both on the James Hardy fiber cement siding and Pella replacement windows. The way to get a hold of Banner and start the process is easy. Pick up the phone and call 314-569-1050, 569-1050. Tell them that we told you to call, or bannerconstruction.com.
Ouch! Checked from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt.
I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them.
What?
Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean?
I guess.
Their gloves come off when they fight for you.
Okay.
I'm talking a settlement slap shot.
Shouldn't we be talking about the game?
Yeah, Dan, Morgan & Morgan.
Proud partner of the St. Louis Blues. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Enjoying the great taste and health benefits of cottage cheese is easier than ever with Pro Pack Snack Cottage Cheese Cups from Prairie Farms. Each perfectly portioned cup is less than 100 calories, low in fat, and packed with 12 grams of protein, making it a smart, satisfying way to fuel your day. If you're at work, practice, or a cards game, Pro Pack is your tasty grab-and-go snack option. Locally made, naturally delicious. Find Prairie Farms Pro Pack Snack Cottage Cheese Cups at your local grocery store.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-777-1979, 800-777-1979, or biglou.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. An Odyssey station.
More strikes are coming. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's part of the president's latest message on Iran, while also reassuring Americans about inflation, which just hit a 3-year high.
The consumer price index jumped to more than 4% year over year in May, but President Trump says he's not concerned.
You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why?
The president says that's because he predicts prices will plummet once military action is over in Iran.
When the war is over? Yes. It's coming down. I know you can't. It's going to come down like a rock.
Energy prices are largely fueling the rising inflation. President Trump says the U.S. since last month has secretly been escorting oil tankers and other ships through the Strait of Hormuz to help stabilize the oil market.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Secretary Pete Hegseth just reaffirming the president's statement that Iran will be hit hard again tonight after strikes yesterday over the downing of a U.S. helicopter.
And that's not because we want to restart anything we don't have to restart. It's because the War Department is prepared to set the terms to ensure that we get the kind of deal President Trump expects.
He's at Central Command in Florida. The U.S. accusing Iran of delaying a peace deal. Anxiety over Iran and inflation getting much of the blame for a sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow dropping 953 points. Congress getting complaints about the cost of being an NFL fan in the age of streaming.
The goal of this whole hearing is to investigate whether major sports leagues are price gouging the American consumer and taking away money from TV stations, bars, and restaurants, paying for all these subscription services and keeping fans at home paying more. The hearing comes after a scathing new congressional report from last week accusing the league of abusing its antitrust exemption, locking games behind a wall of expensive streaming apps.
Darren Batella with Fox Business. Members of Congress say the average NFL fan now has to spend more than $600 a season to follow their favorite team. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask chat.
I just take blue-green algae.
You just have to eat kale. Kale, kale, kale.
I read you should put butter in your coffee.
Or you could trust your gut. When it comes to your energy, digestion, and overall health, how do you know what's actually right for you? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to show what's going on inside you right now. Not trends, not guesses, your biology. With your results, Viome gives you clear, personalized, actionable guidance. Which foods help you, which ones don't, and which supplements your body actually can benefit from. All based on the world's largest gut health databases and thousands of clinical research studies. Many people who use Viome report better digestion, more energy, and an improved mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing.
And maybe still eat the kale?
Maybe. Learn more at Viome.com/know. V as in Victor, IOME.com/KNOW. And use coupon code VIOME50 to save $50 off your purchase.
And eat everything blue.
No thanks.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Any thunderstorms stay way to our north this evening and overnight. We'll see some clouds around and very humid. 76 for the overnight low. Kind of a steamy evening and steamy overnight. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid. A couple of late day thunderstorms. 96 for the high. The record's 98, so we're going to be close to that. Heat index 105 Thursday afternoon. Thursday night, periods of rain and thunderstorms. A few of them will be on the strong side. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Started the show about an hour ago, Sue. It looked like it was all cloudy. Didn't look very sunny with pool weather. I know my daughter wants to go to the pool every day. Now it's sunny out. It looks fine downtown, right? So I don't know what to make of that.
I know.
It's just weird summer weather. You know, we're going to be real sticky. You heard Dave's forecast. I haven't really checked the dew point. You know, I'm a big dew point person. But next week, and I'm taking the week off, I think the early part of next week, the highs are only going to be in like the mid-70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going in.
Like 74, 75 degrees.
Oh,
Alex
that's
Rich is
heaven.
here, by the way, our friend who visits on a Wednesday. How are you?
I'm well. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty well here. We are supposed to be joined by Senator Schmitt here to talk about the congressional baseball game. As someone who played collegiate baseball,
sure,
you might want to offer some advice to the senator, who is definitely one of the big players tonight. I have a special intro for him. So you ready? I did this last year. I like this a lot. Here we go.
From his humble beginnings as the official state senator of the Mark Reardon Show, he was elected as the 46th Missouri State Treasurer and then named the 43rd Attorney General of Missouri before becoming a United States Senator. And now, as the most valuable player in the annual congressional baseball game, it's Eric Schmitt on the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I got to have the natural come in here. There it is. The lights just exploded. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Eric Schmitt. Have you been in the cage already today? What's the preparation right now currently for the game?
By the way, the spare no expense on the production value. I really appreciate you guys. That's incredible.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
We had batting practice down on the field at Nats Park this morning. And then they had a ceremony for some of the scholarships they're giving out for the money that's raised for the game tonight. So we've been down there. It was raining, but the rain is stopping here in the next half hour. I'm putting my game face on, but not before I made time for my friend Mark Reardon.
Thank you.
And the wonderful audience in St. Louis.
Well, I've been to this game, and I'm a big fan of it because I sat with Kenny Hulshoff one year when the Republicans actually won, and it was after a big losing streak because the Democrats had this guy, I think his name was Cedric Richmond, and he was a good pitcher. He played collegiate. Mm-hmm. But the Republicans, you guys have been kind of dominating here the last few years, right?
Yeah, we've won 5 in a row. So this is my 4th game. So they won 2 games, and then I came on in 2023 was my first game. So we've got a pretty deep lineup. We've got, some good athletes in the heart of the order, and that's the name of the game is getting the ball in play and throwing strikes. And so that is what we'll be focused on tonight. I'll be out in left field. They've got me hitting second in the order.
Wow.
So, Let's go.
Well, what I remember from 2 years ago is my friend Ronnie Davis was the third base coach, and he used to catch for the congressional baseball team, the Republicans. And you really hit a good one out to left field, and I think it was a triple. Wasn't it a triple your first year? Now, what I saw a guy who could hit the ball, but man, you were out of shape. And I texted Ronnie right away. I said, you better get Schmitt into shape for these future games. But dude, you've had, I was obviously joking. You have really worked on your fitness, and I see the videos in the cage when you're playing golf. You've made an effort getting back into shape here.
I have. And you know what? That game was actually kind of a turning point for me because there were some photographs that I didn't love from that and just decided to get in better shape. And so working out every day. And this game, honestly, is kind of a motivator for me because I want to be able to perform. I still have some of those competitive juices that get flowing in a game like this. And I joke with Rodney because it was a stand-up triple.
Yes.
It was a bases-loaded stand-up triple. So I've wondered if Rodney would have sent me could I made it all the way home.
I think he might have.
Inside the park grand slam, which would have been kind of fun. But no, it's fun. And it gives me something to kind of, work towards. And then we have practice at 5:45 in the morning starting in March, get ready for this game, which is today. So
who are the managers for the teams?
So Roger Williams is our manager. Roger actually played at TCU back in the 1960s, was drafted by the Braves. He's a congressman from Texas. So he's our manager. Linda Sanchez manages. She's a state representative from Southern California. Yep. She manages the Democrats.
If I remember correctly, she was on the team when I saw the game, 8 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever, and I think she played softball. She's a real good softball player.
Yeah, so she doesn't play anymore. She's managing, and they have got a couple players on the team, but we really do. For people who've watched a lot of these games, somebody was telling me today that they think this is as good a lineup as the Republicans have had in their memory. So I just try to I just go out there. My family comes in town. I'm actually with my wife and daughters right now before we head to the ballpark. Our staff comes in. Everybody from the office goes to the game. There's friends and family there. I want to represent them. I want to represent St. Louis. I want to represent Missouri in that game. And so I get pretty locked in. I'm serious. It's kind of
I know.
Psycho.
I can tell.
About this. When we get off this phone call, I'll have AirPods in, listen to like Metallica or something, getting ready when I'm down on the field.
Okay, well, Miley Cyrus Party in the USA is going to be there too. I mean, you just have to admit that. Here's a little on-field discussion. That's a long story that we go back on a long time ago. Tim Burkett kind of doing a Q&A here.
Now, what did you say about the camera for you?
The camera makes love to me. I never take a bad picture.
This guy, an all-star right out here. Is that the deal?
Yeah, third string. I was fifth string, had meteoric rise. Somebody pulled a hamstring and somebody went to outfield. Boom, I'm third string. Any of you guys out there running for Congress think you can walk out here and take third string, you're going to have to.
They had a little fun with that, right, Eric?
Yeah, so what I didn't expect, Mark, from it was I'm really the only senator that plays. Joni Ernst is on the team. She's out there, but in the starting lineup. And then it's mostly House members. And so to be out there with these House members, I've gotten to know them. Steve Scalise is out there. Tim Burchett's a character. So, you can kind of bond with them on something other than just straight politics. And those relationships matter, of course. But I think people think we see each other all the time. But the Senate's kind of in its own world. The House is in their own world. So that's been something I didn't expect and built some friendships along the way.
That's a fascinating point. And I told people this after I started going to D.C., and there was a stretch where I was going many, many years to a conference in June that this immigration group FAIR would put on. And it was, I think mostly the American people, the conventional wisdom would be, look, all these guys and ladies and gentlemen, they work together on Capitol Hill. I was struck by the division that there was between the Senate and the House and how few relationships there were. So that is interesting. But why are there only a couple of senators? Are they all terrible athletes? Why is that? Why is it so heavily tilted toward the House?
The Senate skews older. The average age of a United States senator is 68 years old. So when you're coming in your late 40s, you bring the age down a little bit. So I think that has something to do with it. But yeah.
No, that makes sense. Quickly, by the way, have fun tonight. It's going to be on TV. Chad Burgum does a great job with the play-by-play. All the staffers are there. It's a fun event. Fred's kids used to work out there. One of your sons was at the game, and I think people have a lot of fun. But you were mentioned, I think, by the president today. Well, that's the wrong one. That's the intro. Here it is.
Eric Schmitt has been an incredible senator, wherever you may be, Eric. He's tall enough. He's usually not too hard to find.
He was there in the room, and then he says you're going to handle Graham Plattner.
This guy's a thug. He's a low-level thug. And he's running to be a senator to work with Eric Schmitt. Great, Eric will handle him. I think to be with Barrasso, who the hell do we have to be with Rand? Now, Rand would be very interesting with him. Rand would figure it out, put him away.
So you're on the list there to take care of Plattner, just so you know.
It's kind of surreal, though. Me, Mark. It feels like yesterday I was in studio with you in the round table running for the state senate.
Yeah.
Being from St. Louis, and to be in the same day, to be in the Oval Office with the President of the United States and him, saying nice things about me, and then later on that day going to play in a congressional baseball game with 35,000 people in the stands. It doesn't feel real to me sometimes, but I think it keeps me pretty grounded. But I'm just enjoying it and trying to represent Missouri the best way I can, in the halls of Congress and then, tonight out on the field.
My only advice is the same advice I've given you several years. Don't suck. There's a lot on the line. There's more on the line now, man. The expectations are high here. You understand that, right?
I know. That's the problem. When you perform, people, what have you done for me lately? So I'm going to try to go out there. Although it wasn't a good omen. I had a decent BP this morning, and I walked away, and one of the Democrats said, "A nice BP, Schmitt. Don't worry, we're going to walk you 4 times."
Oh, look at that. They may walk you because your bat is working well.
The pitch selection will matter. You got to be patient, and but you got all these people here, and you want to perform. So, but that is what a good baseball player will do. So I will try to just, only swing at good pitches tonight.
Have a blast. I love you. Have a great time. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
That's
Bye-bye.
great. And, that's another great example of why I like him so much.
He's a normal person.
He is a normal person.
Yes.
And, Alex, I was going to have you give him some baseball advice, but I think he's got to take it.
My only advice, he didn't say he was going to stretch. That was going to be my only advice.
Okay.
Make sure you stretch.
Well, yeah, that's at that age. The thing that I always say, I don't even know if this resonates with people. I was trying to tell my friend Ken this at the Cardinals game last night. And Alex, this may resonate with you. So when you're at the game and maybe even in television, if you see a major league fly ball, right, these guys come toward the ball, you don't realize how fast they're really going because they make it look effortless, right? So when you see a ball go out to the outfield tonight, it takes them forever to get to the ball, whether it's a ground ball or a fly, because they're not professional athletes and they're still covering the same amount of ground.
Yeah.
This is a baseball game. It's not a softball game. It's not a smaller field. It's the same field that the Nationals play on.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see. And there are some good, there's some good athletes on these teams. And Linda Sanchez, who is not playing, that Democrat, she was smoking the ball when I saw her play baseball, so she was really better than a lot of the guys. So we'll see what happens. Joni Ernst from Iowa is in that lineup tonight as well. We got Sue's News on a Wednesday coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Hey, there is some volume out there on 370 as you head westbound toward the river. Just a little slow go in the construction zone. And eastbound 270, some moderate volume headed for Riverview. And northbound 170, a little slow, headed up toward 270. But westbound 70 in pretty good shape. A little bit at Jennings Station Road, a slowdown at K. 64 is lined up approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. And then heavy again, Winghaven in pockets out through 70. Southbound 270, it's mainly moderate volume, but it stretches south of Page through Gravois. The Illinois side, there is road work, 55-64 at 3rd Street, traffic jamming in both directions, and eastbound 64 at 255. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, breaking news here this afternoon. I don't know how he's going to survive. We might be able to do a GoFundMe, but Patrick Mahomes has agreed to a contract extension which exceeds, if I can say the word, $500 million. $504.75 million. 2 years to his deal that he has. This is not a 2-year deal. It adds it. So he goes to 2033. He had signed a record 10-year, $450 million contract. So now they're putting him up there past the $500 million mark. He's doing okay. I think he's going to do okay. Let's talk about your flooring. If you're not Patrick Mahomes, I promise you can still do a great project with the team at Michael's Flooring Outlet here in St. Louis. I am, how do I say this without sounding, I'm cheap. I don't like to spend money on a lot of things. So when I'm doing a flooring project, you want it to look good in your house. But my main question was, can I do this on a budget? And I was able to help myself a little bit because I worked with Mike and the team after we finished some products. I ripped out the carpeting myself out of 2 rooms. It wasn't that difficult. They have that option for you. If you want them to tear it all out, they'll do that too. But I promise you can do it on a budget. And the options that they have, the hard flooring and the carpeting, waterproof, pet-proof, easy to clean. Technology has really come a long way. They can guide you into the right product for your situation. You can check out the website, igotfloored.com, or swing into one of the 3 locations in Old Town St. Peters, in Darden Prairie, and in West County and Creve Coeur on Olive. The website again, igotfloored.com, Michael's Flooring Outlet.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Bringing a data center online takes more than equipment. It takes precision. Graybar helps customers predict, stage, schedule, deliver, and verify every step of the build with critical products that are available now. From networking and wireless to critical power and testing tools, our teams help you reduce downtime risk and keep projects on track. Speed, scale, ready now. Yep. Graybar does that.
I'm Anna Garcia, host of True Crime News, the podcast. Every week, we bring you in-depth coverage on cases making headlines, as well as those that go under the radar. Tune in for murders that defy explanation, mysteries seeking exploration, and shocking secrets that will leave you breathless. Each week, we honor the victims by going beyond the salacious in our search for justice. Crime never stops, and neither do we. Listen to True Crime News, available now on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got some interesting national days today. Fred, let me be the first to say Happy National Frosted Cookie Day to you.
Oh, that's a good one. How about that?
I like a frosted cookie. You know, their example was like a white sugar cookie with the pink frosting, a little bit of sprinkles on there.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And then it reminded me that Mark Reardon is a cookie man.
Oh, yeah.
And I have not seen a frosted, but that sounds good.
I've never done a frosted.
Yeah, that's
would
what
you
I mean.
say you would say you're an avid cookie fan?
Of course I am.
Well,
it doesn't matter the type of cookie. Is it really you don't discriminate against any?
I've been trying a lot of the different, because my daughter has become a big crumble cookie fan, so they brought some crumbles home. That basically amounts to my mortgage payment.
Do you
too.
rate them? Do you give ratings? Or?
No, but with
he
those
bakes them.
With those cookies, you can legitimately only eat like a portion of them.
Those are cakes.
Are they huge?
Yeah.
Is that
huge.
what you're saying?
Those are
yes.
cakes.
Yeah.
All right. But they're delicious. It's also National Black Cow Day, which I had to look up. It's root beer floats.
Yes. This was a big deal when I was a kid. We called them black cows. I
Did
think
you really?
Fritz's Frozen Custard has them, but I guess they're regionally people didn't always call them that. But yeah, we call them black cows.
I didn't
Do
know
we also
that.
celebrate actual black cows today, though, as well?
We
or just
can.
the drink?
You know what? It's freedom of choice.
Okay.
Freedom of choice. It's also National Egg Roll Day. And I have found, listen, I am not anti-egg roll, but I have found myself for the last probably decade moving into the, I move away from the egg roll, and I like the, what do you call those, pot stickers.
Oh, I like pot stickers.
Oh, yeah. Pot stickers are great.
When given the choice, I'm going pot stickers.
What about you?
Good
Spring
pot stickers
rolls.
at
Spring rolls are
Trader
really
Joe's.
Well,
Spring
while
rolls,
we're
too.
on those like appetizer type thing, what about the crab rangoon? Because to me that trumps the others.
Not me. I'm still going pot sticker.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fred?
Oh, I do pot stickers.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I don't know, man. That one might be tough.
The
I
crab
like
rangoon is just...
But I don't make that at home. That's the thing.
No.
Yeah, you
no.
got to go out for that. It's also National Ballpoint Pen Day, which is important. And it was 83 years ago today in 1943 that the ballpoint pen was patented by Laszlo Birol of Hungary. So the ballpoint pen is 83 years old today.
Yeah.
I've gone back to that because the fancy ones, after a while, drive me nuts. So
Well, they
I'm back
run
to
out
the
of ink
ballpoint
faster,
pen.
don't they?
Yes, Mark. I feel like that's a thing.
I feel like the ballpoint's like probably the smoothest pen on the market.
Yes, and you know where you are, right? You can watch it go down if you got a Bic.
Fred and I are Sharpie guys, though. We don't really use
Sharpies.
ballpoint
I
pens.
like
we
Sharpie.
got Sharpies.
Sharpie is nice.
Not even the fine tip.
No.
You go full.
No, we go
you
full
do?
Sharpie.
No,
Full
what?
Sharpie.
You don't go
Whatever
fine
comes
tip?
into work for free. Is
Right.
what I
Me
do.
too.
Yeah.
Fine point.
And 82 years ago today, it was 1944. I don't think I knew this. Joe Nuxhall, the youngest pitcher in Major League history, made his debut at 15 years, 10 months, and 11 days old. What, Fred?
That's incredible. Yeah.
It was real?
15. Oh, yeah, it was real.
He walked 5 batters in less than an inning. Well, duh.
I'd say.
He was
That's
only
just
15?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who tried it? Do you remember what team it was? I didn't look that up. Sue's News
I'm
has
thinking it
failed
might have
you.
been like the Braves, Milwaukee Braves.
Why
something
did
like that.
Why somebody thought that was a good idea?
It almost seems like that would be something that would happen more in the modern era, just because these kids have gotten so big and into weight training and stuff. Back then,
Yes.
that's baffling. That
They
is
had to
really
be little
something.
guys.
It really is. And now this has sound. 32 years ago today, in 1994, this movie was released.
In a few blocks, we take a soft turn to the right.
Okay. And wait a minute, an escort to where? Where do we get an escort to?
Look out!
Oh, God!
That's Sandy Bullock and
That
Keanu
is
Reeves.
correct. Speed.
You know, I watched it again within the last 2 years. It holds up. It's really
Does
good.
it?
Yeah, it does. It's an excellent action movie. Have you seen it?
Speed's
Alex?
great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I watch
Is
it every
this-
time it's on.
The bus, right?
Yeah.
There's other ones as well, though. I mean, there's like
There's Speed 2, I think. But
sequels,
I
right?
just kind of remember
It is
Speed
great
1.
when he gets under that bus and he's just...
Yeah, you're right. That is great. Fred?
And wasn't that kind of really the breakout for Sandra, too?
Yes, because she looks like a baby. and
Right.
It was 1994. What were you going to say, Fred?
Joe Nuxhall, Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati
There you
Reds. I'm sure they thought that was a great idea. What? All right, the World Cup kicks off tomorrow. And even though most of the games take place in the U.S., Americans apparently do not care. According to a new poll, 54% of Americans are not at all interested in the tournament. Now, I'm afraid I'm in this.
I'm kind of in it, too. I really
wish that
am.
I weren't. I wish that I were into it. Alex, where do you fall?
Yeah, I also, wish I was more into it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move
I'm
on
kind of
here.
surprised, Mark. I'm surprised, Mark, you're not into it just because, people would think you're cool or something.
Oh,
Look,
well, that's a good point.
I'm just being who I always am, and I'm married to someone who played collegiate soccer. It just bores the living daylights out of me, and I think it's ridiculous that there are ties in any sport.
Yes,
but here's what
yes.
I would say: like when the women are good, or if the men are good from a patriotism and USA standpoint, I've watched games that are very compelling and they're exciting. Right? Overall, bores the living daylight out of me. I don't get it. I don't understand the game, and I really don't care to watch.
I never
matches.
wanted to play it ever. It's a lot of running.
It is
a lot of running.
And
up
those
and down.
46% that are interested are really interested.
But they love it, right?
You're
Well,
right. And
look-
even Brian Kilmeade, who is flying out to L.A.
Yes, you're right,
to
Fred.
be at the first
I'm
game
just going to tell you that we
tomorrow.
talk about the nation's issues, and I made this declaration 30 years ago. Soccer has ruined America. It's kept young people from playing baseball and football.
Oh,
it
I
has
see.
been
I see.
destructive to our American culture,
Oh,
and
that's
I'm just going to
interesting.
stand by that.
Fred, it was nice of you to think 46% are into it. They actually say that 54% of Americans are not at all interested. Another 14% are not very interested.
Oh, okay.
And only 13% say they're very interested. So we'll see.
Here's what I would say, though, about sports overall, and I'm being serious now. Obviously, I was joking a little bit there. Like, I didn't watch hardly any hockey this year, but I am glued to these Stanley Cup Finals and these.
Are
the game.
you
Oh my God,
really?
I can't get away from it. It's
Are you
so
a Vegas
exciting.
fan?
Wow.
I'm rooting for them because I go out there a lot.
course.
But I'm just telling you, from a sports perspective, it is exciting. And Fred, you know this. You're watching it. The World Cup can be like that too. There are going to be good, compelling games that I will watch and I will be into.
And I didn't watch one NBA game this year.
Yeah.
And
The finals are awesome.
every
It's great.
minute of the finals, and I can't wait.
Yeah,
I was
it's
just going
fun.
to say, the finals right now, I feel like it's everybody's kind of discovering, like, oh, basketball in the final, like, in this type of setting.
The difficulty here, though, with the World Cup is that we've never had a great men's team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, that's part of the poll. They say 72% of U.S. soccer fans say, we'd best bet against our own team if we could win money.
Exactly.
And they're not that great, so we will. Serena Williams won a doubles match yesterday. It was her first in about 4 years, and it was in London. She's 44, by the way. Her doubles partner is 19.
Wow.
That can't hurt. So they can move quickly. And just to keep you hip, there's a new travel trend that's gaining traction called plop vacation. Instead of cramming your trip full of sightseeing and excursions, you just plop down on a beach chair and spend your vacation relaxing. Travel experts say people often come home from vacations feeling exhausted because they try to do too much.
Yeah.
I think people do try to do too much.
I agree.
I like a good beach vacation with some music and just hanging out.
Vacation and trips, though, there's a fine line. We've been talking about this
Right.
lately. Vacations, relaxing, trips, you're doing things.
Yeah, right.
Do I have this in there? Okay, let's play a little bit. Oh, I'm running out of time. This is Stanley Simmons. It's a duo made up of Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons' sons, and they've released this song called Cellophane.
It's funny. When I saw the audio in there, I instantly thought of Gene Simmons, and I didn't think there was a connection.
Yeah.
Is that any good? Can we hear lyrics
It's coming
here?
up. It'll come.
All right, I can see. Yeah. I might put that on a playlist and check it out. Cellophane by Stanley Simmons. I like that. There you go.
Finally, in Sue's News, today's random fact. Humans can never land on Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, or Neptune. They're made of gas and have no solid surface.
There you go. We'll go out with this song here. Coming back with more.
But we know it's really more of the same.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. The month of May saw the U.S. pay out more tariff refunds than it collected. A total of $21.97 billion was sent back in court-ordered refunds, and that edged out the $21.93 billion collected. This release covers the first full month since the refund portal opened and allowed businesses to apply for a refund. A report by Bloomberg says that the SpaceX IPO is more than 4 times oversubscribed. The Elon Musk company is set to debut on the public markets this Friday. Banks are expected to stop taking orders from institutional investors this afternoon. SpaceX is offering more than 555 million shares. Wall Street saw a big pullback tied to chip stocks and the conflict with Iran. The Dow was off 953 points, ending the session at 49,919. NASDAQ off 509 points. S&P 500 fell 119. West Texas crude up 2% today at $90.03 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores.
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
Don't miss a hot tub and swim spa blowout sale this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the St. Charles Convention Center in the North Hall. Choose from over 25 American-made units on display. See hot tubs, swim spas, and cold tubs all ready for immediate delivery. Save up to 50% on MSRP. Financing is available. For more info, call 1-800-SPA-SALE. That's 1-800-SPA-SALE.
When it comes to selling your home, the agent you choose matters more than anything. Hey, it's Mark Cox. I'm with my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, what should sellers really be looking for in an agent?
Thank you. You're going to select a realtor with a proven system. Someone who knows how to price your home right, create strong demand, negotiate for top dollar, and guarantee results. I see it all the time. Last year, hundreds of homes in St. Louis came off the market unsold and needed multiple price reductions. That's what happens when the right strategy isn't in place. I do things differently. My focus is to help you sell for the most money possible, not just to list your home and hope it sells. Plus, I even guarantee to sell your home for 100% market value, or I'll pay you the difference.
Make sure you choose the right agent the first time. Call the one I trust, Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. 25 years strong. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, it's a Wednesday afternoon. We are getting through it with our friend Alex Rich here in this 4 o'clock hour. Sue's here, Fred as well. Ethan's hanging out, doing the producing in the other room. I've been hearing from a couple of my children today during the show. Here's some breaking news from Houston. You remember for this one? Ready for this one?
Yeah.
Alex is about to be a father in like 3 months for the first time. My son just said, I have the grandson, Idris, that Idris, this is kind of personal. It might be in like the TMI situation, but here's the notification. Guess who just used the potty like a big boy today? Now, that's a big, big step for like a 1.5-year-old.
Yeah, it is.
So, and he goes, he peed on me a little bit first, but he got the rest in the toilet. I'd say that's
good.
baby
That's
steps
success.
to the good thing. So, and then my daughter is actually watching on the feed today, and she goes, hey, have fun in your show. I see Alex is on your show today. Why are you talking about pot stickers? Are you going to talk about me, big old man? That's what she calls me, old man. Constantly. It's elder abuse, what I try to tell her, and I think she's going to be grounded for a month after these exchanges. So we often
look good. You do look good for an old man, though. I give you credit. I mean, you kidding me?
She's the one who has aged me. All right, we talk about food every once in a while. I don't know if this is a particular food that we've discussed, a vegetable. We've talked about vegetables before. I think I've admitted that, and I think Brussels sprouts might have come up here a couple of days ago. I remember being forced to eat my Brussels sprouts. I would eat them whole and just wash them down with milk when I was a kid, right? And then had this epiphany in, the late 2000s, right around 2009 or so, because my wife was working out of town at the time, and my dear friends now, Mike and Karen Fitzgerald, you know them.
Sure.
They invited me down for dinner, and Karen made these Brussels sprouts. And I'm like, oh my God, these are delicious, right?
Yep.
So it was just in my head from being a kid. And I think as an adult, I've come to appreciate some of these things. Now, I haven't taken the step on some other vegetables out there, nor do I think I will.
Why?
One of them would be, I'm going to explain that in a second.
I'd like to say that Brussels sprouts, I think, have made the biggest jump over the last, I don't know.
If you're doing power
10
rankings.
years.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I think they
agree.
have increased in rankings by exponential amounts.
Agreed.
Right.
I
People
think they went
figured out-
from the worst to one of the top notch if they're done the right way.
Now, I'm out, and I can't remember the last time, and maybe you can convince me that these would be good, but I'm out on lima beans, okay?
Nope.
There's no lima beans.
They're delicious.
They're like
well,
plastic.
You
thank
just
you.
have to
Yeah.
cook them
Yes.
properly.
Right. So then this next question. This is going to be
and
controversial.
they have to be baby lima beans.
Oh, maybe that's our
yeah,
problem.
that could be.
Okay, I'm going to offer a word here. It was actually used earlier in a different context. Peas.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
So
Me
really?
too.
I like them a lot. They're great with like a pasta. I like them maybe more mixed into something rather than stand alone.
You guys, seriously, what's fresh peas? Have you had fresh ones?
I got to tell you,
I don't know, but
one of my favorite
mind-boggling.
snacks lately has just been the whole
Sugar snap
pea.
Yeah, give me
The whole pea pod.
That's
right?
awesome.
Okay, let me ask this question.
Dip it in a little.
Like, I like that from a Chinese or a Thai place or something like that, and you do the soy sauce. Am I basically eating peas?
Those
then?
are edamame, I think.
Yeah, but
edamame is what?
Edamame is soybean.
Seems like a
so it's not a
steamed
pea
pod.
Yeah.
So
but if you eat a sugar snap pea, they're delicious in the pod.
I like them just cold out of the fridge.
Yeah.
All right,
Dip
this
it
is
in a
why I
little
bring it
ranch
up.
dressing.
Yeah.
I remember back when I was like, there was a period in my life where I was like a salad bar guy, right? Because I think we all had ourselves convinced at a certain point. It's interesting to see the cycles of health and information, but we all had ourselves convinced that if we ate salads, we'd be much healthier. And then we, put lots of ranch dressing and cheese and eggs and all that stuff. And I was really good at that. But I liked peas when I would do my salad. So I would put them on the salad.
Sweet.
But I can't remember the last time I've had peas. So this is from the New York Times. How healthy are peas? Don't let childhood memories of mealtime standoffs turn you away from these nutritional powerhouses. So they say that the humble pea has a lot going for it. Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics, used pea plants to study how heritable traits were passed from parents to offspring. The plants are also friendly to the environment with a low carbon footprint and roots that naturally nourish the soil. And they say, love them or hate them, peas are a powerhouse of nutrition.
They're delicious.
According to someone named Rebecca McGee, who is a plant geneticist at Washington State University. So they're members, of course, of the legume family, high in protein and fiber. They taste sweet, but they're full of complex carbohydrates, but they won't spike your blood sugar. Garden peas, also known as sweet peas or English peas, are the most common type. Yeah. They're often sold frozen, fresh, or canned. Other common varieties, usually eaten with their pods intact, are snow peas and the aforementioned snap peas.
So good. You can get them at Schnucks and just gnaw on them. They're so good.
They say this is interesting, and I didn't know this, because a standard half-cup portion of cooked garden peas, how many grams of protein?
Oh, I don't know.
That's 4 grams of protein just in a half cup of peas. I would say that's a pretty good number there, right?
Yeah. Don't ever eat the canned peas. That'll put you off. No canned anything.
Well, one of the things they say here
Vegetable.
is they use peas, and I didn't know this, they use them in protein powders and alternative meat products and plant milks as well.
I could just cook some with butter and a little bit of garlic salt.
I'm with you.
It's delicious.
I totally agree. I think it's about the way you prep it, honestly.
It really is.
Yeah, I think, people who maybe grew up not liking vegetables or whose kids don't like I think you're just doing it the wrong way.
So look at this, though, because it's the New York Times and they have the eating section and everything. I don't think I pay for all the recipes, but they do offer some suggestions in here. So they say sauteed peas with anchovies and scallions.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep.
They say the peas end up almost shockingly sweeter when cooked with salty, punchy anchovies and, spicy garlic. Then there's one, this is something I think I would try, and I think I might like this. 1 pot salmon in dill rice with peas.
Yum.
That actually looks pretty
Yum.
good. It's peas and coriander rubbed salmon steamed together over rice.
Yum.
All right, I like that one there. Pan-seared chicken with peas and prosciutto. That actually looks pretty good too.
Sweet and salty.
Cauliflower, cashew, pea, and coconut curry. Cauliflower is a vegetable that I like, but I like it more with a bunch of cheese on it. I will say that.
Sure.
Same thing for broccoli. How about lamb meatballs with pea pesto?
Okay, pea pesto is outstanding. I have a recipe for a pea salad with pea pesto. It is
Really?
outstanding. I might give it to Alex.
I will give it a try.
Okay.
I had no idea. So there's maybe, there's a resurgence in peas that I was unaware of, and I need to give them a chance. I think that when I do have them at restaurants, if they're mixed in with something, it's not like I'm going to put them to the side. There are things. I'll tell you one thing I don't like, and this is another thing I like in some recipes, but I'm not a big celery person. But if it's part of something like, Chinese food or something like that, but I don't really care much for celery.
How do you feel about mushrooms?
I love mushrooms.
That's
Big
good.
mushroom guy.
I love raw mushrooms.
Whenever
I
you do
cook
the
mushrooms.
hibachi, we did hibachi a couple weeks back for my birthday.
hibachi.
It's whenever they do everything else, then they get to the mushrooms last, and there's always these people that just can't stand.
I don't
I
get
like
it.
them, again, the way that they are cooked.
Yes.
At the hibachi place, but
Yes.
typically I don't love mushrooms.
Fred, were you on
I do.
mushrooms? I don't think Fred likes mushrooms.
No.
I don't like mushrooms.
Yeah, I
Fred,
could tell
no.
from your reaction in the room.
Fred, what veggie do you like?
Probably a carrot, right?
I think you just
Brussels
answered.
sprouts.
Okay.
I like carrots. I can
Okay.
do peas.
I don't like carrots.
Do you like
Okay.
the carrot or the carrot chip? Because we recently just bought a veggie tray at Costco.
yeah.
Keep it in there. This is how you eat a lot of vegetables.
Okay.
Snack on them.
Yeah.
You open the veggie tray, keep it right there. They're already all there, obviously,
Yeah.
for you. But they give you a couple of options of carrots. So one of them is the carrot chip, which is more cut like a chip.
Yeah.
You could
and
dip
then
it.
and then you could dip it.
Oh.
The other is just a normal carrot.
I don't like cooked carrots. I like plain carrots.
I understand that one.
Right.
I don't like either of them. Carrots
Really?
are not my.
I
no.
love a
Corn
roasted
on the
carrot.
cob.
Same.
Corn on the cob. Does that count?
There's a place called the Evie in Chicago downtown that does these roasted carrots. It's so good it makes me teary.
Let me tell
I
you
think
something.
you'd like them.
I would argue
Really?
to say that
Yeah.
I make some of the best corn on the cob. Seriously. Wrap each individual piece in foil. Put a little
Oh,
garlic,
nice.
butter,
And then where do you
salt,
cook it? On the
pepper.
grill?
On the grill.
Yeah.
Put it on that top shelf for about an hour.
Oh,
Flip it every once in a while.
that sounds really good. I've never cooked corn for that long.
Then it doesn't dry out because you got it all just soaking
Oh, that
in
sounds
that.
excellent.
You go through a lot of foil doing it,
yes.
but
It's
let me tell you
recyclable,
something.
right?
It is.
That's
It's
it.
it's worth it. Every
I'm
penny of it.
starving
I'm
now.
learning a lot about
Telling
Alex
you.
today and mushrooms and everything else. Hey, our friend Matt Lawrence from Game Day Men's Health is here. He's going to join us coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, if you are westbound on 64, it's approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, a slow go. And then westbound slowing again, headed for Boone's Crossing. We had a report of an incident out there. Then things open up and you encounter slow pockets again, approaching Highway N out through the 70 split. 70 has some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road and past the airport, a little bit of K. And on the Illinois side, eastbound 70, jams in the construction zone headed for 64. 64 eastbound slow 111 to 157. And some volume on 5564 at 3rd Street, where we've got ongoing road work. 55 looks pretty good, and that's all the way down through Herculaneum. I'm Sue Thomas, and this report is brought to you by Point Within E Pest Control. That's traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
A little breaking news, and we telegraphed this earlier. Look, the president said this morning there would be more strikes, and in fact, Jen Griffin is on Fox right now, chief national security correspondent, talking about more strikes being undertaken this afternoon near the Strait of Hormuz. I don't have any more details. We will provide them to you as much as we can. This is about the same time yesterday they launched strikes, right around 4 o'clock Central, 5 Eastern. So details, that is a moving story, and we'll keep you posted here throughout the rest of the show. I want to talk about Stewart's American Mortgage, and let me just start with this because I'm going to give you his cell phone in a moment. That's one of the big advantages of dealing with Stewie is you're not going to call an 800 number. You're not going to be on hold. You're going to get right to him, and he's going to answer your questions. And right now, if you are someone who wants to purchase a house, he's offering you a great deal, and it's a limited time deal, 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year. So for that first year of the new 30-year mortgage, you lock in a 1% lower rate. You still get the bagel loan. That means no closing costs. That is an amazing offer. It's limited time. Get with Stewie. Call him, text him, 314-324-4440. Now, on the refis, you know, people may be a little bit nervous. You have a low rate, but you need to access the cash in your home, the equity. With the bagel loan, you're in a great advantage. If the rate's higher, you still pay lower in the fees, no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees. And again, he can close you within 10 days. So he likes to think that he opens doors for his clients. He makes a confusing process really easy. He's very smart and passionate about what he does. Get with Stewie today in Stewart's American Mortgage. Google the bagel loan, or here's his cell phone number, 314-324-4440, and MLS number 226-715.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1979. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. Take your lawn from good to great with my friends at Lawn Enforcement. I'm talking expert lawn care services to keep your lawn in order. And here's what they'll do for you. Anybody can mow your grass. At Lawn Enforcement, they want to enhance your property. They'll do the mowing and the trimming. They'll fertilize and implement a weed control program and erosion control, which includes retaining walls if you need it. They can landscape, they can design and install your flowers, your shrubs, your trees, all of your hardscapes. No project is too big or too small for my friends at Lawn Enforcement. You can check them out online at yourlawnenforcement.com. So instead of envying your neighbor's lawn, your neighbors are going to be wishing they had the lawn and landscape that you have. Go ahead and enjoy your space. Be proud when you entertain your friends and your family. They've been in business for over 30 years. Be sure and tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to yourlawnenforcement.com.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Well, we still have in the next hour, we visit on Wednesdays with my friend Duane Patterson from hotair.com, the host of the Duane's World podcast. He will talk all things political. Catherine Hanaway, the Attorney General, will be here at the bottom of the hour. Look, this whole thing that happened the other night at Sky Zone in Shrewsbury, and it really wasn't the other night, it was during the day, it was outrageous. And, you know, she's calling for more parental responsibility and juvenile justice reforms. We'll get to that. I will have an audio cut of the day. We are set tomorrow with State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick. He revealed something today on the Francis Howell School District, which is just outrageous. They basically paid a superintendent $250,000 who never did a day of work in the district, so that's awesome. And no one can say why because they all signed NDAs. So that's all coming up in the next hour. We are joined in the studio not only by my friend Alex Rich, who's hanging with us, but also Matt Lawrence with Game Day Men's Health, a great sponsor of the show. He's got 2 locations, one out in Chesterfield, one in O'Fallon. Matt, how are you this afternoon?
Doing awesome, Mark. Thanks
it
for
is
having me.
good to see you. Alex, you are the one that introduced me to Mr. Matt
And you didn't
Lawrence.
see, he's got great shoes on over here today as
what
well.
What are you wearing today?
He's got
what
these
kind of
red,
kicks?
these are like the red Game
Oh,
Day.
yeah. I
What
like
is the
those.
Red Game Day Classics.
Yeah. Those look really good.
Custom, huh?
Well, to get real close to that microphone, I want you to talk about some things that you guys do. And one thing that I always kind of refer to when I'm talking about game day, obviously testosterone replacement therapy is something I think that people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. And what we talk about with game day is the game day difference and the quality of what you have. But there's a lot of people that are interested. And I never even heard the word peptides, I don't think, until I met you. But peptides and vitamin injections, those have become popular, right? What can you tell the listeners about that they might need to know?
Yeah, so you're right. Peptides it's all the rage lately. And so what peptides really are block chains of amino acids. And what they do is they signal your body to do something more of something that it's already doing.
Okay.
So for like putting on muscle growth, there's peptides that are called growth hormone releasing peptides, and they just basically stimulate your pituitary gland to release more growth hormone. There's peptides for recovery, stimulate your body to produce more
sports injury recovery, stuff
sports
like that.
injury, working out hard in the gym,
right?
Peptides for sleep, peptides for cutting visceral fat, things like that. So they fall into the ones we deal with fall into 3 or 4 of those kind of categories where they're either for muscle growth or they're for recovery or they're for cellular health, like cellular regeneration, longevity type of things.
Have those been around for a while and we just haven't heard about it? Or is it a situation where, this is kind of new and fashionable?
Been around for a while, but just sort of getting kind of new and fashionable.
One of the things I think you told me, though, there's misinformation out there and some people might not understand.
Yeah, a lot of dangerous ways to get peptides. So what happened a couple of years ago is a lot of peptides were they were changed how they were classified by the FDA, and really what it did was it made it where it kind of opened up this scary gray market online. So you can get all these kind of peptides online, and it's they're research.
That's sketchy.
Yeah,
right?
they're research grade. You don't know where they're coming from. It's not under a doctor's care. You don't know what the purity is. There's a lot of heavy metals in them, impurities, things like that. You don't know the potency, anything, because none of it's regulated.
Right.
So there's, like a lot of other things, there's a safe way to get your health care and get your vitamins and supplements and peptides, and there's a not so safe way.
Right.
The safe way would be to come to a brick and mortar.
Yeah, right.
Come to a brick and mortar place. I don't even care if I tell people, come to me, great, but just don't go online for some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, no, we want people to come to you, though.
Yeah.
We definitely
come
want
to
people
a brick
to
and
come
mortar place. Two things are different for sure. The peptides that you're getting are being compounded at an FDA approved and licensed pharmacy. So they are being compounded there. So there's all kinds of that rigor that comes along with being an FDA approved pharmacy. And then it's called API, active pharmaceutical ingredient, that is held to it's not research grade, it's pharmaceutical grade. So it is held to a whole level, different standard and different level of rigor as well.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
2 things right there. And then third, you come in and you get it prescribed by a doctor under a doctor's care with a plan and follow-ups and checkups and all that good stuff.
Now, are you guys, you're doing stuff with GLP-1s at Game Day, right?
That's correct. And the GLP-1s, just not to geek everyone out or geek out on everyone, but GLP-1s are a peptide as well. And so that's kind of what helped the whole peptide movement get going too, is that, hey, this weight loss stuff is actually a peptide, and then, hey, what other peptides are there? Yeah.
So are you doing, because some people are, like, I think it's Serena Williams, like some people are microdosing some of the GLP-1s too, right? Mm-hmm. What's the difference between doing that and going all in?
Yeah, so microdose means basically they're just taking the same weekly dose that they would have and just kind of taking it each day, because some people will feel some peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. Hey, I inject once a week, and so if I inject on Thursday, by like Wednesday midday, I'm ravenous, and so some people will try to kind of break that up across the week in smaller doses.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, well, the one thing that I think we want to emphasize here is, if people have questions, you're still offering the 1-hour visit, right? Come on in, get the blood work, you get it back in 20 minutes, and then you talk and have a consultation with professionals in the office. I've been to the Chesterfield location. Alex has been there too. It's great. It's a man cave environment, and really you staff it with the best professionals. So I wanted to get you in here and incentivize some of the listeners. You got the clinic in Chesterfield, real easy to find, off 6440 Olive and Clarkson. Then you have the O'Fallon location now, right?
Yeah, correct. O'Fallon, Missouri, right at K and 64. Yep. So both real easy to get to, right off the highway. Like you said, call, make an appointment, get you in and out in an hour, but with no cutting corners, get full consultation, full blood work with results, all that good stuff.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Look Matt up. Go out to the locations out in Chesterfield or O'Fallon. But thanks for coming in. I haven't seen you in a little while, so it's good to have you. And glad Alex pointed out the red kicks here this afternoon,
right?
As well. Do you have to put up with him very much? Do you see him a lot? We all had lunch recently, didn't we? That wasn't.
We had a nice
ago.
little lunch, yeah. Because remember, your kid's working at the golf course.
Old Warson, yes.
Oh, really?
So.
Yes.
This is a teenager doing like caddy work and stuff like that?
He's doing all kinds of stuff. So he's in a golf program run through the PGA, like it's called Professional Golf Management. He's at University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And
guy can golf.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's.
Have you played with him? Have you seen him?
But I mean, if you're gonna go into that and be a golf pro, ultimately, that's what.
That's.
Does he get that from his dad or what?
Skips a generation.
Yeah, I guess it does, right? Doesn't that piss you off? Man,
Yeah.
I've got another friend who has a son. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and he's not at all into golf, but his son is like really, really good. So it does happen. Matt Lawrence, Game Day Men's Health, great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Alex, it was even great to see you.
Great to see you.
Can't always say that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for an accident westbound 6440 past Chesterfield Parkway. It's created a jam behind it. And east of there, it's a slow go approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. West, too, and that's Highway N out through the 70 split. Now, 70 westbound, moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport at K and at Wentzville. Southbound 270, moderate volume right at Ladue Road. And then it's pockets that stretch down through 21. In fact, we had an accident reported on 21 at 270 causing delays. And volume on the Illinois side due to road work, 5564 at 3rd Street. And also eastbound 64, a little slow there at 255. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis. It's full of the latest, most custom designs in Chesterfield Valley. There you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let's get you a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. You know that the power's gone out even recently. We have summer storms that are possible. We have ice storms in the Midwest. You have the power grid failing. All of this leads you to do a very smart thing, and that's to get this estimate from a great company. All they do are generators. You got competitors out there that cannot do the certified maintenance and warranty work. They don't even offer that in some instances. All they do is generators. They specialize in these. These are very high quality. They kick your home into power as soon as the power go out within seconds. So it is worth getting a free estimate, and they have payment plans available. Generator Supercenter can be reached at 314-499-2020. The website, GeneratorSupercenterofSt.Louis.com. They do have an outlet out there in Chesterfield on the Airport Road. If you're interested, you can swing by there. GeneratorSupercenterofSt.Louis.com.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
I'm Altima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
If you're considering buying or selling a home, when it comes to choosing the Gelman team with eXp Realty, numbers don't lie. Over 1,500 Google and Zillow 5-star reviews, nearly 6,000 homes, and $2.5 billion in real estate sold. 314-336-1991, thegelmanteam.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
is a Fox News alert. Another round of strikes. I'm Lisa Lacera. U.S. Central Command says it has begun a second round of attacks on multiple targets in Iran, saying they're in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said this to reporters about an hour ago.
As President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America.
Earlier today, President Trump said he believed a deal with Iran was close, but accused Tehran of delaying the agreement. The president also revealed the U.S. has been taking out millions of barrels of oil from Iran. After the consumer price index rose to more than 4% year over year last month, President Trump is downplaying inflation worries.
You know what I really love? I love the inflation.
That's because he says when the conflict is over, prices will plummet. Another sell-off on Wall Street triggered by worries over Iran and inflation. The Dow plunged 953 points. The Nasdaq minus 509. The S&P off 119. Its first back-to-back drop in 3 weeks. The lawyer for Carmelo Anthony, the Texas teen convicted of murdering a fellow teen at a track meet in Frisco, Texas last year, says he will appeal.
The jury sentenced Carmelo Anthony to 35 years behind bars for fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during a high school track meet. Both the DA and lead prosecutor told me they were satisfied with this sentence, even though Anthony faced up to 99 years behind bars. They also said that they were prepared for Anthony to take the stand, and they hoped that he would.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in McKinney, Texas. Anthony and Metcalf attended different high schools. Prosecutors had accused Anthony of trying to provoke Metcalf after being asked to leave Metcalf's team's tent multiple times. Carmelo Anthony will have to serve a minimum of half his sentence. America is listening to Fox News.
Please be advised. You may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, bean sprouts, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
Wait, what? I thought those were good for me.
Turns out, not for everyone. Because what's healthy for one person can cause inflammation for another. And the only way to really know what your body needs is to listen to it.
Listen how?
That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to understand what's happening inside you right now. When your results come in, you'll learn exactly which foods to eat, which to avoid, and which supplements are right for you, all based on the world's largest RNA-based human biology database and thousands of clinical research studies. And many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and a better mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing. Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase. Viome. Trust your gut.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Any thunderstorms stay way to our north this evening and overnight. We'll see some clouds around and very humid. 76 for the overnight low. Kind of a steamy evening and steamy overnight. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid. A couple of late day thunderstorms. 96 for the high. The record's 98, so we're going to be close to that. Heat index 105 Thursday afternoon. Thursday night, periods of rain and thunderstorms. A few of them will be on the strong side. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a good topic for Paul Hall on Friday to ask him about, but there is, and I didn't know that this was in play. Ethan and I were just kind of talking about it in the studio. There is a sequel. They're kind of calling it a sequel to The Social Network, which is about, the whistleblower who exposed a lot of the things that were happening inside of Facebook. And we just watched during the break at the top of the hour, we watched the trailer, which was released today. And Jeremy Strong plays Mark Zuckerberg. It was Jesse Eisenberg who played Zuckerberg in The Social Network. That was back in 2010. Did you see that movie, Ethan? Did you see? I thought it was a pretty good movie.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
This one, the cast is outstanding. Betty Gilpin, who I love, Jeremy Allen White, who's obviously been very popular because of the show The Bear, which is about to wrap up here on Hulu. I love Billy Magnuson. He's got a role in here. Jeremy Strong plays Mark Zuckerberg. So Bill Burr's in this movie.
Yeah.
But you were telling me So we just watched the trailer. It's like a 2.5-minute trailer that I just watched. It looks pretty intense. They're going to open it. It's a Sony release, so it's a big release, and it's October 9th, I think. But you're saying that the folks in your demographic have given even the trailer pushback?
There's already people that are saying that this is going to be bashing Republicans in this side of the aisle.
Well, we know that.
That's going to happen. But even besides that, I think people just look at the first one and how good it was, and they're going just based off of the trailer saying, I've read tweets that are not a single scene or clip from the trailer looks nearly as good as what we saw in the first one.
Okay,
and I think they're setting themselves up for failure, expecting to get something similar because of how good that movie was.
I don't think it should be called a sequel. That's the thing. It's just a different movie.
It's a completely different cast.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg's a different character.
I don't know. I don't get it. Duane Patterson is with us from California this afternoon. He writes at hotair.com. He's the host of the Duane's World podcast. Did you see that trailer by any chance?
Which one? For which movie?
It's for the new. It's called The Social Reckoning. So it's like they're pitching it as kind of a sequel to The Social Network. Jeremy Strong plays Mark Zuckerberg, but it looks like it's all about some of the things that happened in the background with the leaks and things that led up to. I guess I would call it what did they call it? The Twitter files and stuff like that. That was related to Facebook as well. Everything that Congress did. I don't know. It caught me off guard because I didn't know that this was coming out, and the trailer just got released today.
I think maybe 5 people are going to watch it, and all of them work for MS Now, probably.
I don't think so. I think because they're putting this in October, and it's got a good cast, and they have a way of, Hollywood has a way of, and Aaron Sorkin's the director and the writer here, so he usually has pretty big hits. He's by no means anyone that would lean conservative, but I would take a bet on that one. I think that might have a little bit of, juice at the box office, but we shall see. By the way, you know what we're going to know right away if that movie is a success or not, because box office numbers will come up over the course of 3 days. Unlike in California, if they were counting numbers, it would take 3 months or something like that, right? Are you still counting?
We wouldn't know till January about the box office if they counted it in California.
So I want to tell you something. I made an ill-fated wager on my Friday show last week, and I do this a lot. And we were talking about, at this point we didn't know who was going to make the runoff for mayor, so it still looked like Spencer Pratt had a chance. Now, I never thought he had any chance to winning that election overall in the general. I have a different view, and this is where I'm kind of curious about your opinion because you're out there. I have a different view of Steve Hilton. So what I did was I got 3-1 odds from one of my panelists. So I bet $100. I get $300 if Steve Hilton wins. I bet someone else straight up $100. Here's the great thing, though, Duane. Like, this is in November, right? If I lose those wagers, I probably have 6 to 8 months to pay them off because the votes won't be counted. And I could just say, look, the vote code's not final. I'm not going to tell you that you're a winner. I think I have an easy out there, don't I?
You would think so. But maybe not. There is a Supreme Court case that will have a secondary impact on this. There's an Alabama case that they've already heard oral argument, and it's about whether or not they're going to allow ballots to be cast after Election Day. And we heard oral argument in this whole thing. This was several months ago. And Alito and Roberts and Barrett and all of them were saying, no, we have Election Day. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say election week, election month, or election season. And just reading the tea leaves, if they come down the way we think they're going to come down on this Alabama case, and it could be released any time. I mean, it's one of the final cases that hasn't been dumped yet. But if this gets dumped, the tail end of June, it will impact what California can do. They've already had the primary, but it will impact what they can do for the general election. And I'm not saying that Steve Hilton can win this thing because I live here. I believe it when I see it. It's still statewide. It's a 65-35, 60-40 Democrat over Republican registration. I mean, you could just be Joe Republican, whether or not you're Steve Hilton or somebody that's got name ID. Joe Republican, as long as there's an R next to his name, is going to get 40% of the vote and get his clock cleaned by 20 points. But what could happen now is if the late ballots no longer get counted and you have to go by what gets turned in early for absentees or whatever, and then you've got Election Day, and then all this shenanigan stuff and ballot harvesting no longer gets to be allowed, then all of a sudden you've got a whole different possibility where the Democratic electorate, which has been kind of trained out here for the last 10 years, Election Day, you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time. Hang out, have a coffee, have a latte, and just kind of check out how things are, and you'll know what to do once you see when half the vote comes in. Then you'll know where we really need you. And if they can't do that anymore, then all of a sudden you may have a scenario where it could be a perfect storm for somebody like Steve Hilton.
Let's take for just a moment the politics out of everything in California and just strictly focus on the way that you guys vote. Because I think what we've learned, and look, I've followed elections in California before, but I'm not I don't know where you are on stolen election. I do think that there's election fraud. It would be naive to say that there's not. And there are cases that have been, certainly offered as examples. But I'm not overall a stolen election guy. And like even in California, I don't know how there would be a conspiracy to keep Spencer Pratt off the top two when Steve Hilton wins on a statewide ballot. Now, having said that, these rules that you guys have out there are so foreign to those of us who, we do have a little bit more open voting here than we used to. But to be able to just put a date on an envelope and set it in and then have it count weeks after the election takes place just seems outrageous. I'm all for making it easier for people to vote, but that seems like it's completely making it easier for people to cheat.
We have, there's this long expression in politics, not about elections, but we have this expression in politics where how you comport yourself, how you behave, how you act in office, whether you're an intern or an elected official, you're supposed to act, if you're in public office, so that you are above any appearance of impropriety, right?
In theory.
It doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, but don't even put yourself in a position where it looks like you might be. Right?
Yeah.
That's the problem with California's stuff is whether or not they're cheating or not, nobody can really prove right now. And even if they could prove it, California's laws, the Democrats, they basically have legalized the stuff that interstates would say, no, you can't do this. But the problem with what California has done is they have given the appearance for impropriety to such an absurd degree that people that want to float the conspiracy stuff, they've got all sorts of room to point.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, counting these votes quicker would do a lot to satisfy people's, questions. Because I cannot believe, and I think we talked about this last week, Election Day was Tuesday. By Tuesday morning, it was like 60% of the vote. By Wednesday morning. By Thursday, it was just to 65% of the vote. And I don't even know how close you are now.
It went backwards for one day. And do you know why it went backwards?
No.
There was one day where it was like 58, 57% of the vote in, and then it went down to like 53% of the vote in. And the reason why is because the first couple of days after the election, when they went to the mail and saw the amount of ballots that came in, it was more than the first couple of days of late ballots 4 years ago. So they went, we're going to get more late ballots this time than last time, we think. So we don't know how many votes are going to come in long term, but we're just going to extrapolate based on 2 days of what came in versus 2 days 4 years ago, and we're going to now adjust what we think the final vote total is going to be based on mail that hasn't come for the next 3 weeks. And based upon that new number, we think that only 53% has come in. It's just
That's
voodoo.
insanity. That is insanity. It really is. Duane Patterson is here from HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. How about Nancy Mace last night? Good Lord. Did you see what happened to her?
Yeah.
I mean, she was a rising star in Congress in South Carolina. She did not do herself any favors with President Trump. She claims that she tried to be on the right side of history with the Epstein files, but she finished fifth in a primary for governor with 12.5% of the vote. It's my understanding she did not make a lot of friends on Capitol Hill, and there are a lot of people that are current members of Congress that aren't too sad to see her go out this way.
She is the Republicans' version of Katie Porter out here in California.
Ooh, that says a lot.
Katie Porter, by the way, she was the rising star on the left. Remember her
whiteboards
and all that stuff? She got 5% of the vote statewide.
Isn't that amazing? And that was an undercovered story because, to your point, she was at one point a pretty heavy favorite.
She was a comer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And she just look, you don't want to, with her anger management issues, you do not want to get between her and a hot stove for the next month until she cools off.
Did you see did you watch a lot of the SLPC testimony yesterday with this guy that gets up there and, Brian Fair's his name. He's the interim president. He couldn't answer any questions. We had Congressman Bob Onder on earlier. He was part of that House Judiciary Committee hearing. It was just embarrassing. And, I go back. I'm old enough to remember anchoring newscasts in the 80s and the 90s, citing the SLPC as these experts on, what is hate and what isn't hate. Of course, the origins of the group are quite good. They did a lot in the 1960s to, fight for civil rights, but they've gotten way off the track. And for him to sit there and not even answer basic questions time and time again and that, by the way, that should not be political. That shouldn't be a partisan issue. That's what the hell were you guys doing, infiltrating hate groups and paying them donors' money when the donors didn't even know what you were doing?
He got hammered by all sorts of people. Tom McClintock had a piece of him. Even Gerald Nadler asked him a pretty innocuous question.
And he's a Democrat,
he's a ranking member.
Right.
And when Jerry Nadler asked him a question, he said, I don't think I'm going to answer you. I don't think it'd be best for me to answer that question because of all these indictments that have come down. And Nadler's like, this has nothing to do with the indictments. I can't believe you're not answering my question. But I'll tell you, so he's just spinning himself into circles all day long. And then here comes Brandon Gill, Texas congressman, with the kill shot, right? Brandon Gill comes in at the very end and says, so can we at least agree that Graham Plattner is a bad guy? And when he did that to him, he got the head of the SPLC, Brian Fair, when he's sitting there looking at Brandon Gill, showing him the Totenkopf tattoo of Graham Plattner. And the guy says, well, if I were in Maine, I wouldn't vote for him.
Right.
So
That's as far as he'll go.
And fraudulent as far as the day runs, but at least we can agree that Graham Plattner sucks.
I know, but he even almost hesitated on that. He paused and he goes, I wouldn't vote for him. And, thank God he said that. And then what happens with Graham Plattner? Because, look, you heard Susan Collins say some things finally, and even President Trump. I want to play this because, she's not been on his side on everything, but he said this today.
She does because she's a sane woman. She's not my best friend at all. These guys are. I get along well, but I have some. But she's a sane person. And she's a person that never missed a vote in many years. She's had 10,000 votes. She had 10 votes. She never missed a vote. Unfortunately, because sometimes she voted against me. Look, she's a sane woman. And she's a respected person. Maybe a little different ideology than me. But he's a thug. He's a fake thug. He's a phony.
Yeah, and he's an embarrassment, and the Democrats are sticking with him. But, you even talked about this last week. Most people who follow and know this race and know Susan Collins, in the end, she should be able to pull away here. But they're going to fight. They're going to spend a lot of money, right?
Well, they're going to spend a lot of money, and they're going to waste a lot of money when they spend it. Here's the thing. Susan Collins had a primary, too, right? the Republicans had a primary for Senate. What was her vote total? She got 100% of the vote, right?
I didn't see the numbers. Did she?
Of the Republicans
right,
in a
right.
Republican primary? She got about 100% of the available Republican vote, okay? So who was Graham Plattner running against? Now, I know Janet Mills' name was still on the ballot.
But she had pulled out.
Suspended her campaign.
Right.
And had abandoned it for weeks and never actually reactivated to the point where she was campaigning again or raising money, right? So who was he running against?
Yeah, well, he wasn't running against anyone. Here's something I heard.
70% of the available Democrats in a primary, meaning, just 3 out of 4 Democrats in an uncontested run said, yeah, he's my guy.
Right.
That's not strong support.
So the other senator from Maine is Angus King. He is technically an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. I've heard rumors that he might endorse Susan Collins.
I think he probably will, actually. Here's what I'm hearing. The day of when it's too late to replace him on the ballot, it's floated between July 15th and July 5th and July 15th. I'm now hearing that the actual drop-dead date by statute is July 13th. And so now that he's the nominee, what I'm hearing is that the Republicans, who have a whole bunch more oppo to drop on this guy, including names and people willing to go on the record and all that stuff, they're going to wait until after the 13th when they can't Joe Biden him anymore, when they can't Bob Torricelli him anymore, when they can't Bob Menendez him anymore, right?
Yeah. Well, he's going to be on the
they're gonna
ballot,
drop the
and then it's
oppo,
going to drop, right?
And then Susan Collins is going to win this by double digits.
Yeah, I think you're right in the end. Duane Patterson, hotair.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. I hope all is well in your world. We'll talk soon.
You got it. Thanks.
We'll see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, if you're just heading out the office door, we do have some slow-moving traffic out there, and some of it is in North County. There was an accident reported on eastbound 270, approaching 170, and there's a jam behind it. And we also have some volume eastbound 270 at 203. Now, the usual traffic westbound 70 is in place today. It's a slow go past Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport at 141 at K, and 64 is heavier. It's Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at 270. Looks like they cleared that accident that was past Chesterfield Parkway, but traffic is still unwinding in that area. And then some moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 270, slow pockets of moderate volume, approaching Olive down through 21. And on the Illinois side, eastbound 64 jams approaching 157. That, of course, is due to road work. And some volume, 5564 at 3rd Street, where there's road work and a lane down. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Call them for their 26-point tune-up. One price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Always look for the genuine, the original red ribbon. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. That's traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I guess we lay claim to Jasmine Crockett just a little bit because she's from here in St. Louis. Her reaction to the Carmelo Anthony verdict is really kind of laughable, but I have to share some of that coming up next.
It's not your typical game day look. Sunday, June 28th at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals face the Miami Marlins, and fans can receive a soccer-style Cardinals jersey presented by Purina. Clean, sporty, and unmistakably Cardinals, it brings a fresh energy to the ballpark from first pitch on, and kids take home a vibrant Cardinals soccer ball to keep the action going long after the final out. 2 ways to play, one big Sunday. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fred Birding games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family-favorite activities. Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/KidsSunday.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Do you have any evergreens in your yard? It might be time for a health checkup. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. My friend Chad Hanson tells me he's been seeing a lot of evergreens dying due to environmental issues from the last couple of years. A winter drought 2 years ago, combined by a very wet spring, is wreaking havoc on a lot of these evergreens. Let Hanson's Tree Service help. Call them today at 636-379-1830 or online at hansonstree.com. CrawfordButts.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at CrawfordButts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's CrawfordButts.com.
Ready for a fresh start? The Excel Center in St. Louis is here to help you earn your high school diploma, tuition-free and on your schedule. With convenient locations in downtown St. Louis and Florissant, you can learn at your pace, with support every step of the way. Need childcare, career coaching, flexible classes? We've got you covered. Registration is now open. Don't wait to take the next step toward your future. Visit excel.mersgoodwill.org to enroll today. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is coming up here in just a couple of minutes. There is some breaking news. Fox had it at the top of the hour. CENTCOM again announcing that there were additional self-defense strikes at 4:15 this afternoon, 5:15 Eastern, against multiple targets in Iran at President Trump's direction. The strikes in response to the unwarranted and continued aggression, according to CENTCOM. So we'll keep you posted on that. One of the big stories yesterday was the not only the guilty verdict in the Carmelo Anthony case in Texas, but also the sentencing. And I think we kind of got off the air before the sentencing became final. It was 35-year sentence for this kid who's now 19. Here's the prosecutor in the case.
I asked our community to ignore all the noise and instead be level-headed and patient as the process worked. And today, the process delivered accountability.
Yeah, he feels very strongly that justice was served.
Today, justice was served. This verdict sends a clear message. Violence like this won't be tolerated in our Collin County community, and we remain committed to protecting our schools and standing with victims and their families.
All right, so you have a track meet. You have a tent. It's raining a little bit. You have Carmelo Anthony, African-American, goes into the tent. He's not supposed to be there. They question why he's there. You know, they ask him to get out. He doesn't. He says, if you touch me, there's some threats that are made. There's two brothers that are there. There's other people in tent. There's no doubt. One of the things that I've tried to emphasize here, nothing about this should be about race. It's about a kid who stabbed another kid in the heart. And Austin Metcalf died as a result of this, and he brings a knife into this tent. And now you have a couple things happening. One, there's a video that I'm looking at right now of a dude in Florida that went up to a white guy that thought he was on the Carmelo Anthony jury. The case was in Texas. And he says, I thought you was on the jury selection for Carmelo, my boy, and hits the guy in the face. And, so people, it's ridiculous. But even beyond that, we have a member of Congress in Jasmine Crockett, who's from right here in St. Louis. It's funny now when you hear her, she ain't talking like she was when she was maybe thinking about running for, Senate in Texas. She's talking like she always has. But listen to what she says and the amount of contempt that she has here. She has, and this is what's happening with a lot of people reacting to this, far more empathy or sympathy for the kid who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart than she does for the victim.
What we saw with that verdict is the evidence of a broken system. Now listen, from everything that I understand, which I wasn't at the trial because obviously I got a day job, but it's my understanding that Carmelo ended up stabbing, puncturing, I don't know what this tool was that they talk about, knife, or some refer to it as a tool. He ended up hitting Austin one time, and it was about where he hit him. One time, 2 inches. This wasn't someone who said, hey, let me stab you 5, 6, 7 times. And so when you're looking at the punishment range, there's a reason in Texas that it goes from 5 to 99 or life, because you are looking at how intentional, how bad was this?
So Austin Metcalf, at one point when they asked, this guy to leave, he attempts to kind of push him a little bit. And then Carmelo Anthony says, touch me and see what happens. Okay. Following the push, he pulls a knife and he stabs him in the chest. In her opinion, it doesn't matter that it wasn't 35 times. It was just one time, and she thinks that we should go easier on him. He literally bled out in his brother's arms.
35 years for a kid who had decided to go under a tent that was not his team's tent as it was raining, and simply didn't want to be put out in the rain by some random kid that he didn't know, who was larger than him. Listen, a lot of people don't know what it is to live as a black person in this country, but just
There
like
we
you can
go.
give the benefit of the doubt to so many police officers when they go out and they shoot some black unarmed person, even though they are trained,
Doesn't happen.
the fact that there was little to no mercy seen or humanity seen when this black boy said that I was scared, or the fact that honestly anybody else who did something with such a small object, all I know is that it wasn't considered unlawful carrying of a weapon because the blade was not long enough. That they wouldn't even say, well, maybe this was more so something that looked like manslaughter.
Well, okay, the jury saw all the evidence. You admitted, Jasmine Crockett, that you weren't there during the entire trial. And by the way, there were at the very least 3 African-American teammates of Austin Metcalf who took the stand and wept over his death because they loved him so much. And they were testifying against Carmelo Anthony, and they were black. And she wants to only pull the race card, as a lot of people do. I think a lot of people didn't follow this case. They don't know. She actually wants to say that it matters how big the knife was. I mean, are you kidding me? So that's unreal from her, where, you know, it's not even relevant how many times, even though it was one time or the size of the knife. What's relevant is he stabbed him in the heart and he bled out in the tent and he died. That's the only thing that's relevant. Whether it was a gun or a pencil, it didn't matter. He killed the guy, and he meant to kill him. I don't know why he meant to kill him, but he did, and he's going to be punished.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident on eastbound 270 past Lindbergh. Watch for that one in the 2 left lanes. Accident reported westbound 364 past Harvester. That in the left lane. And it looks like that earlier accident was cleared westbound 6440 past Chesterfield Parkway West. Now, 70 westbound, some moderate volume Jennings Station Road, a little bit at the airport, and then it opens up. 64 is Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at 270, and again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, 270 is slow in both directions at Ladue Road, and southbound has slow pockets from Olive through 21. We've got heavy traffic westbound 44 headed in front of the Arch grounds, and on the Illinois side, road work 5564 3rd Street causing delays there, and eastbound 64 jams approaching 157. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We had Matt Lawrenson from Game Day Men's Health in the last hour, kind of chatting it up with him, some of the things that they do at his 2 clinics. He has one in Chesterfield and a location in O'Fallon. And one of the things we talked about were peptides, because there's a lot of interest in that, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. One of the great things about Game Day is you can trust them with a 1-hour visit that they're offering you a free consultation. They'll take blood work. They'll come back with a plan for you. Maybe it's because you need a peptide injection or a B12 injection. Maybe it's testosterone replacement therapy. Maybe it's something for ED treatments that are very unique. But they're going to take great care of you with a very trained, highly professional medical staff, their own pharmacy. By the way, Father's Day is coming up. They have gift cards if you're interested in that. So Matt's locations are out in Chesterfield, right off 6440, Olive and Clarkson, and then there's a location in O'Fallon. You can go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com, book an appointment at one of those locations. You're going to have a great experience. You don't have to take the day off work. They're going to give you a free consultation, on-site advanced testing. The tests are going to come back really fast, and then a personalized treatment plan for whatever your goals are, and they're going to get you through it. And you can either take some of the medicine on your own at home, go back to the clinic. You're going to have a great experience. Game Day Men's Health. Get back to the top of your game, guys, with Game Day Men's Health.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. For many years, Bernie Madoff sold something incredibly rare on Wall Street: consistency. Year after year, his returns were steady, high, reliable, building a reputation among investors. If your money was with Madoff, you were doing all right. He answered to a wide variety of clients: banks, hospitals, schools, charities, and even Hollywood big names like Kevin Bacon and Steven Spielberg. It was smooth sailing for Madoff, that is, until December 2008. Bernie Madoff was arrested at his luxury Manhattan penthouse. For decades, Madoff sold lies. He wasn't running a hedge fund. He was running a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme, the largest in history.
America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Men. Need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
537. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Ellisville to Glen Carbon, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I talked about what happened in Shrewsbury for the past couple of days, these fights that broke out when you had all these kids that were outside of Sky Zone. Like in the middle of the day, there was a 6-7 day event, and you had 350 people outside that weren't going to be let in the trampoline park because they were already at capacity. So you got groups of 10 to 17-year-old kids, mainly African-Americans, some who came from up in North County that started fights. They had a kid from Florissant who was 12 years old who said that she saw the fights on, social media, decided to grab a 12-inch knife and take an Uber to Shrewsbury to participate in the fight for protection. What? What are you talking about? This is what's happening. Now, Catherine Hanaway, our Attorney General in Missouri, is on the line. You have made juvenile justice reform a top priority. I mean, this is really outrageous, and even more so, Catherine, for me, because my daughter goes to this place sometimes a couple of times a week at that location in Shrewsbury. How are you?
I'm great, and when our kids were little, they loved Sky Zone. I know what a popular place it is, and this is just absolutely outrageous.
So one of the things that's happening, and we were seeing like a pattern of this. Sometimes this happens where I am downtown here, but the thing that always comes to mind is, what are the parents doing? Where are the parents? Why is this happening that's a young group of kids, 10 to 17 years old, and how they all got there. You have one kid that takes an Uber. I don't know how that happened, but how do you even begin to address something like this?
Well, what we were trying to do is, first of all, make sure that these juveniles, to the extent that they are committing felony offenses, that there is a record of it. Previously, if they were fingerprinted, there was no sort of permanent record. We always hear about the permanent record, but one of the things this law changes is to keep permanent fingerprints. They're closed records, but so that law enforcement can see that these juveniles have priors. And then the other thing is, previously, the juvenile officers didn't have to consult with the prosecuting attorney before making a determination on whether to certify these juveniles as adults and have them prosecuted if they are committing felony offenses as an adult. And so both those things got changed this year in the law. It was our number one legislative priority. It was the number one priority of the Sheriff's Association, and the governor absolutely made it a priority. I think it was the first bill he signed this year.
It just seems like in a lot of these situations, they have similar patterns, and the crowds gather, then they get out of control, and they simply don't feel like there will be any consequences, mainly because most of the time there are no consequences. And I don't even know if there were arrests the other night, but, the police were a little overwhelmed. In Shrewsbury, they had to call in, some of the surrounding folks from the area. I'm not putting any of the blame on them because they were overwhelmed. And again, this happened in the middle of the day. But this is behavior that is beyond unacceptable. It's illegal. Businesses had to shut down, Catherine, because of the, I don't know if you call it riot or mini riot or whatever the hell was happening over there. It's outrageous.
It is outrageous, and we do have to kind of keep thinking about how to hold the parents more responsible. I mean, this is a ridiculous situation where parents just make the assumption that they can drop their kids off and either go into the business or just hang out outside, and they don't assume any responsibility. And frankly, I mean, as a parent myself, I would have been worried about dropping my kid off because of what might be happening. It's just stunning to me, not only that the parents aren't preventing their kids from getting into trouble, but that they don't have safety concerns about their own children in this circumstance.
That's what's baffling to me. It really is. And by the way, I had Senator Schroer on earlier. I know he was very involved in the legislation that you mentioned for some of these changes. So hopefully some of that will have an effect. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is with us tonight on 97.1 FM Talk. So we are quickly approaching the World Cup, and some of these games are going to be in Kansas City. I know that you've been involved. I even saw you on the television monitor here in the studio a short time ago because you're kind of keeping focus. I know I had the governor on last week, too, talking about security for the World Cup. Any updated information along those lines that you can share?
Well, first of all, you're right to call out Senator Schroer. He carried this bill that had both juvenile justice reform in it and truth in sentencing, and without him, it wouldn't have gotten done. So we are enormously grateful. But as we approach the World Cup, we're really worried about two buckets of things. One is that it will likely be the biggest human trafficking event in the history of the world, probably, and that is super sad, but we're trying to partner with as many entities as we can to prevent it, to take care of any victims, and to prosecute any perpetrators. The other bucket is all the fraud schemes that are going to come down the pike with it. Ticket fraud, housing fraud, even towing fraud, and we're starting to get complaints about all three of those in our office. So we did post on all of our outlets today some tips about how to make sure you're not a victim of one of those frauds.
So what is it? Because I'll be honest with you, this whole thing with, you have a World Cup that presents a higher risk for human trafficking, that catches me off guard, and it certainly catches a lot of listeners off guard. Why is that?
Well, the Super Bowl ends up being the biggest human trafficking event of any year in the United States, and it's the same reason except, magnified many times over. You have people traveling away from home who are very wealthy, whose families by and large aren't with them. And when we think about human trafficking today, a lot of it is, young men and women who have been transported there and forced into prostitution. And so that's why it's such a big threat. And we really, really want to do everything we can to get people to report. There's an app called Simply Report, and super easy, and you can't over-report. Like, law enforcement can make the assessment of whether what you saw really was human trafficking. But if you see an adult with kids that they don't have a natural relationship with, so they're not a parent, a coach, a pastor, or if you encounter someone who's under duress and has no ID and no means of paying for things on their own, or if you're staying at a hotel and there's a constant turnover of people in a particular room, those are all super big red warning flags.
You know, there's a story, and I just kind of Googled this just to see if anything was happening. And lo and behold, in Miami today, one of the breaking stories is 11 people arrested in an undercover World Cup human trafficking sting. So that's good news that they caught some folks down there. But again, that catches me off guard that this is an opportunity for those human traffickers. So it's good advice this afternoon. Catherine, thank you so much for coming on this afternoon. Keep us posted on everything, and have a great week, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks very much, Mark. Have a great evening.
Audio cut of the day is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
MoDOT is reporting a traffic signal issue westbound 94 past 64, so just be aware. Let's see. As far as volume goes, westbound 70, moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, and a little bit past the airport out through 270, and then things open up. At 64 is mainly moderate volume now, but it's still approaching Hampton, out through McCausland, and then again at 270. A little bit at Boone's Crossing and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, southbound 270 is much better. Just slowing down around Doherty Ferry. 55 looks great out of downtown. Road work causing delays on the Illinois side. 55, 64 at 3rd Street. Some lane closures. Slow-moving traffic there. And on eastbound 70 at 64. And on 64 eastbound at 255. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
So the summer racquetball season has started at the MAC, and I had my first match last weekend, and I was matched against a kid who was 17 years old that goes to my old high school, Parkway West. And as he's warming up, and Alexa came with me, I can hear the ball smacking against the wall with the power that a 61-year-old doesn't have. So I'm like, oh no. And then he tells me, yeah, I'm on the team at Parkway West, and he even won a state championship or something like that. So I'm like, oh great. So we play the first game, he smokes me. You played a 15, it was like 15-5. But I figured him out, and I got him in the second game, and I beat him 15-8 in the second game, and then I fell apart in game 3. But I was so proud of myself. I told him, I'm like, just getting one. Well, because he won the first game.
Yeah.
I won the second game. Then you go to the third game, which is up to 11 points, and I lost.
Is this the B group since it's summer?
Yes.
Oh,
that's why.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah, it's
Mark
a whole new
Reardon.
world, and it's not a good world because I might lose a little. But look, just to have one victory over that kid, that
good.
made my whole month.
Yes.
So there's lots of great things going on at the MAC right now. Not only, I think they're showing the highlight reel of me winning against that kid. If you go into any MAC, either downtown or west right now, it's on a loop, I think. But look, I want to talk about some of the great things that we do for some charities in the area, including Books for Newborns, Joshua's Great Things, which teams up with folks and helps kids with brain cancer, and then Missouri Kids helps with athletes that have life-altering injuries. We pick 3 charities a year. It's part of the Charitable Society for Children, which is an extension of the Sports Foundation, and it operates kind of as a club within a club. So outside of all the great things, there's great 4th of July events. They always have weekly events downtown and west outside of just, playing squash and racquetball and pickleball and tennis. They do great things, and we do great things for the community. And you can always find out more at mac-stl.org. I think my racquetball highlights are up there, too.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
I met my husband late in life, and now that we are happily married, I'm like, I need you and me to live as long as we can because I want to spend so much of my life with you, which is why when I saw this Lifeline screening, I said, we are doing that. If you're over 40, it is time to get checked. This Lifeline screening tests for your stroke risk, heart disease, cancer, and more. Like they do an ultrasound on your blood vessels in your neck to see if there's plaque buildup. That buildup can lead to a stroke. They look at your abdominal aorta to see if it's enlarged because that could lead to a rupture, which is life-threatening. They do an EKG and they screen for AFib. A lot of common illnesses are silent in the early stages. So these screenings help you learn what your body's not telling you because early detection helps you work with your doctor to develop an action plan. These screenings are painless, non-invasive, take about an hour, plus you do not need insurance or even a doctor referral. They're so affordable. Appointments are limited. LifelineScreening.com. That's LifelineScreening.com. Don't wait until it's too late. LifelineScreening.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sue and I happen to be big fans of Barcelona, Spain. I was there 3 years ago. I was able to visit the Sagrada Familia, who Antoni Gaudí designed this. This is a 144-year project, and I just put this up on Twitter. They completed it, and we have now seen the Tower of Jesus Christ illuminated for the first time at the Sagrada Familia. And I just tweeted this out at their site. It's La Sagrada Familia. You can follow that on Twitter. It was an amazing light show that started from the base of the amazing. You can't even describe this in words if you've never seen it.
I walked in and got teary before any of this happened. It's so beautiful and unusual.
When you look at this video,
it's just amazing.
It's illuminated from the cross, and then it's culminated with a composition of lights that are guided by drones that trace the figure. It was nighttime in Barcelona of Gaudí. So you actually had Gaudí's face with drones on top of the Sagrada Familia. Look, I'm showing you a picture of it right there.
Oh, wow.
How cool is that? And then a light show that goes with everything that they're doing in Barcelona. So that's awesome. The only bad part about all that is, and this is a real thing, is that there's a lot of people from Barcelona that do not like all the tourists. They think that they've been run over by tourists. So they've had, demonstrations over the last couple of years, and they've taken squirt guns and they
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To
They
just
fire
random people?
to the tourists because they don't want to do anything that's violent. But that's their way of protesting the fact that they don't want to be overrun by tourists. Now, look, that's their home, and I get it. It's also where their economic, I don't know if it's the centerpiece of their economy. They probably have bigger parts, but it's a big part tourism is. So there's got to be a fine line. But I loved Barcelona. I thought it was fantastic.
It's so cool.
I really did. All right, let's do this afternoon as we wrap up the show.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
So I'm a big fan, and maybe because I was there 1 year, of the congressional baseball game. Senator Schmitt is only a couple members of the Senate. Joni Ernst are even playing in this, mostly House members. He was on to preview. He's really pretty good. He had a triple in his first game 3 years ago, and he has been working on his game. So if he does something tonight that's not, magnificent, I know that he'll be particularly let down. But Fred and I were talking about this earlier because what I remembered from the television coverage last year is Chad Pergram, who covers national security and news for Fox.
Yeah.
He's really a baseball geek, and he calls this game, and he gets super into it. So listen to Chad here.
Well, this game will be on FS1 tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be doing the color commentary. Our colleague at Fox News, Kevin Cork, will do play-by-play. This is about the 5th year that I've been involved directly in this, although I've covered the game since the 1990s. It is a massive undertaking, and the reason is because there are no stats. There's no, sports information department. So this is my book. This is the master book that I put together. Mostly my wife puts this together for me, my statistician. And so I have all sorts of stories and batting lines and history of the game. You name it, it's in this book. And that way, during the course of the game, I can just refer to this. I think that I put this together for college. They'd probably mark me down a grade because I didn't have a title page. But this is the Congressional Baseball Game Master Book.
Okay, but that's important because when you hear people, John Rooney, Ricky Horton, whoever's calling baseball games, look, there's a staff of people that are handing them sheets that have updated stats, and they're professionals and they can weave this thing in and out. But in a game like this, you got to call the action and you got to have to talk throughout the whole game. So he's really doing his prep work, which is awesome.
It's funny when you prepare for a game like this. If I was roaming the halls of Congress, I know exactly what to ask the members. I'm also a baseball fan, but it's a little harder because there's a limited universe of what they've done on the diamond. You don't know if people have played in high school or something like that, and so you need to have those stories. If I was just reporting on my team, the Cincinnati Reds or something, it would be a little bit easier. But here you have to do a lot more research. One of my friends is a professional hockey announcer, and I called a game for the Washington Capitals with him a couple of years ago. And, I put several days of preparation into that, watching the team, who they were going to play. It's the same deal, making sure we had the pronunciations correct. Obviously, I have the pronunciations here, but it's a little bit different for the ball game because it's a sports broadcast. In fact, I remember last year they said, okay, Chad, in my ear, get ready to do the defensive alignment here for the Democrats. And I was taking my time just a little bit getting through it. And they're like, you got to be faster on that, Chad. We've had that graphic up that long, and it's just the rhythm of doing a sports broadcast compared to doing a congressional broadcast. It's a little bit different.
I'd say it's very different, but he is so good at it, and the whole way that they do it. So my understanding is, I think this is still the case, you can watch the game on C-SPAN, okay, but no play-by-play. But if you watch it on FS1, that's when you hear those guys.
Okay.
And this is not a softball game. Sometimes people think it's a softball game. It's not. It's real baseball.
Wow.
The only rules that are different is they allow substitutions. So you could come out of the game, like sometimes they'll put a base runner on if someone's too old to run the bases, but then they can go back out and they can still play. I'm just saying that's the only rule that is not like real baseball. And it's entertaining. You can watch it tonight, have fun. My advice is always the same to Senator Schmitt. Don't suck. So he's got pressure tonight. Yeah, and stretch was the other one.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We are looking better on the roads. Now, westbound 70, a little slow past the airport and at 270, and then it's fine. 64 is thinning out, but some moderate volume at Clayton Skinker and a little bit at McCausland, a little bit at 270, that kind of thing. 270 southbound has thinned out. We look good on 55. On the Illinois side, still a little bit of volume, 55, 64 at the 70 split. Eastbound 64 jams as you approach 157, and it's back past 255. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Call Point Pest Control, mention Annie, and get 10% off your pest problem.